a beautiful sort of like extremely hot summer's day in Queen's Park. Just a lot of not exclusively trans men, but mostly trans men wrestling each other. It was great. I mean, I don't want to sort of like fully flash my sort of like trans mask chaser ID card here, but I will say that.
Well, you do have the photographs to prove it now.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I can send you I've got 437 photos, and that's me having gone through edit passes. I think I initially took about 2,000.
Wow. I'm assuming you did this digitally then, not on film.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, believe me, I would have taken the same amount. I just would have bankrupted myself. There's a real desire in the community to just sort of physically harm one another, and I think that's a beautiful impulse.
I'm kind of like extrapolating on this. It's like, what's the next thing? What's the next big thing? Is it
the most dangerous game?
So many possible worlds, but we got this one. So many possible worlds, but we got this one.
Welcome to the Worst of All Possible Worlds, the first and only podcast to hunt down the most dangerous game. I'm the worst of all possible Joshes.
I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
And I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
We are extremely thrilled to have a guest with us to talk about 007 First Light, the new James Bond game from IOI. And I need to introduce her right now. She is, along with being an esteemed photographer, of course, one of the most prolific names in podcasting. She co-hosts Trashfuture, Well, There's Your Problem, Kill James Bond, No Gods, No Mayors, and Be Gay, Solve Crimes. And she is now making her triumphant return to our show after 2.5 years. November Kelly, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that I was finally able to sort of redeem myself enough that you would have me back on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, no redemption. We're thrilled to have you
After the
back.
sins you committed against us.
That's true.
Because I made you play Modern Warfare 2, 2.5 years in exile.
And Far Cry 5 for that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, it's so funny. We had you on 3 times in such a short period of time, and it's like, oh yeah, she's just going to be on all the time. And then we all got very busy. That's just what
we
happened.
decided to start co-hosting 5 podcasts. How's that going?
Well, listen, I've got to pay for lenses to take better photos of the T-Boys somehow.
We all heard the siren song of Lana Del Rey, and that's why we're all here today to talk about 007 First Light, IO Interactive's first foray and possibly last foray into the James Bond universe.
Yes, will James Bond return?
They said in the credits that he would.
Lana Del Rey 100% thought she was signing up for a movie. She thought she was signing up to do the soundtrack for a movie, and instead she got the tie-in game, and I think that's beautiful.
You know, she didn't even have to leave the gator farm that she lives on.
I think this has been a thing for a long time. If you go back and listen to her sort of like older stuff, it's 100% just kind of like sultrily singing like, yeah, I want to marry a man who's going to treat me poorly and make me say that blue lives matter. And now she did. She got everything that she wanted, and now I'm kind of concerned for her, and I think she should be maybe kind of put under some kind of like anti-Chud conservatorship. But
Let's just talk for a moment about how we got to this point where we have IO Interactive, this Danish software developer, creating a video game for James Bond, one of the quintessential British franchises.
Yeah, this was a kind of point of horror to me as someone who very much enjoyed Hitman and very much enjoyed IO Interactive's work on it and wanted, speaking of conservatorships, to sort of like force them to keep making it forever, to have them make an abrupt lurch for what is not just personally, but professionally my least favorite intellectual property.
Yeah, is the thing you're cursed with. It's like for us if IO Interactive had made an Adventures in Odyssey video game.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
I mean, calling it the thing I'm cursed with is more right than you know. In the sense that, like, I do kill James Bond, not just because it's you know, it's fun and rewarding and everything, but because I do feel kind of psychically burdened with James Bond. That's kind of the point of the podcast, you know, and when we were talking about it more, and like, this is maybe going to turn into kind of free therapy for me, I think.
That's what we're here for. So we've talked about the history of IO Interactive, of the Hitman games, and even their connections to the Deus Ex series and Thief 2 in episode 66 back in 2022, where we talked about the Hitman trilogy with Nova.
You almost didn't recognize me because of my completely different outfit.
If you want the history of IO Interactive's Hitman franchise going up to the trilogy itself, we're going to overlap just a little bit here to talk about how IO got the 007 license. But I think a good year to start with is 2012, because there have been a lot of James Bond games. We're not going to go all the way back to like 1981 where you like drive a boat that's made out of 3 pixels or whatever for a whole game.
But do you fuck on the boat? That is my question. Is it a James Bond game?
Plays the theme and there's a little spinning 007 logo.
I don't know if because I think the very first Bond game was a ZX Spectrum text adventure. I don't know if you fuck in the ZX Spectrum game, but maybe. Of course, 007 games had mainly been FPSs since the Nintendo 64, since Rare made GoldenEye. And they're drawn specifically from the movies, and pretty much just the movies.
My favorite conceptually of the Bond games of that era was the PS2 From Russia with Love, where they
got Connery
ran out of Brosnan, so they went back to the Connery well. I wish they'd gone back to Dalton instead.
Yeah.
I want to see a blocky sort of PS2 rendering of Timothy Dalton.
I want a QuickTime event where I am riding a cello down a mountain.
Yeah.
That is all I
Yes.
So in 2012, this series had been kind of going along and chugging along and getting run into the ground. And so Eurocom and Activision released 007 Legends for the 50th anniversary of the James Bond movie franchise. This came out on the 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Wii U, and it completely killed the whole video game franchise.
It tries to sort of like mash all of your kind of like favorite moments together, like Joe Biden's memories. And so you get sort of like bits from one movie in another. It tries to, over at Kill James Bond, we have this sort of like unified theory of Bond where we talk about like the same guy, right? Where all of the Bond movies have to exist in one continuity. So like the same Daniel Craig who is getting like blown up was also like on a jetpack in 1962. 007 Legends tries to just do that for real and retcon it all into Craig. So Daniel Craig fought a Korean man with a razor bowler hat.
Listen, Jack. Back in my day, this guy came over, silver teeth in his mouth, called himself Jaws. Jaws, that's what we call him.
This is the part of Joe Biden's story that the reporters look up and it's completely true. And like Joe Biden does.
Like, there was a guy named Jaws.
Is accurately remembering fighting a guy named Jaws on a cable car.
Shoot a shark right in half. Bit him clean in twain.
That was the thing about
space,
007 Legends that surprised me was when Corn Pop showed up.
That was his trademark rusty razor.
This game comes out, it is a fucking disaster. Obviously, Eurocom was like rushed into getting this thing made just so that Activision could cash in. So this closes down Eurocom at the end of the year. The entire 007 license gets pulled by Eon and MGM. Not only are more games not going to be made after this point, this game gets removed from digital storefronts in January of 2013. It is just gone. You have to buy a physical copy. Activision was doing this a lot at the time. Like, if you remember the last Tony Hawk game that they made in the mid-2010s, it almost does not function at all as a game, but they were just getting out because the license was expiring, and they were just like, let's get some more money.
2012 is also the same year that IO Interactive releases Hitman Absolution.
And because Square Enix actually owned IO Interactive at this time.
Absolution is a more action-forward game, but it kind of gets mixed reviews because Agent 47 isn't really like a runner-gunner character.
You don't have to talk to me about Hitman Absolution. I think, granted, I'm going back 2.5 years, but I think I expressed a sort of anguished howl when you asked me to remember it.
But in 2016, Square Enix publishes Hitman. It's basically a reboot of the franchise, largely using the design philosophy of Blood Money.
But using a lot of the technical and UX stuff that they designed for Absolution.
Right. And it is hailed as a return to form for the franchise because it feels like Hitman.
Go back and listen to the Hitman episode and see how little my voice training has been working.
I can't say anything. I just can't say anything.
Yeah, me either.
So in 2017, Square Enix drops
That's
IO.
it. Yeah, they're like, we want to sell you. We're going to cut off your funding because Hitman 2016 also underperformed because they They tried a business model that didn't work out for them.
The episodic structure.
But
yeah.
IO's founders are able to get the capital together to buy the company back out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in 2018, they do a new deal with Warner Brothers and they release Hitman 2.
And Warner Brothers also does the re-release of Absolution and Blood Money, which is why you can play it on a modern console today. But IO is also itching at this point to, one, go into publishing, and two, make anything that's not just a Hitman game. Because now twice, they have had to cancel non-Hitman games that they were working on because of Absolution's economic failure and Hitman 2016's economic failure. So they're like only doing Hitman for a long time, and I think they're just getting really itchy.
I can't hugely blame them for this. I mean, I do. I blame them very profoundly for this because
Yeah, of
I
course.
like Hitman. It scrungles my brain in all of the right ways. And how dare they not be making more of it for me and my horrible special little gremlin nature.
Yeah,
But,
this
like,
is me with Deus Ex all the time. Yes.
Yeah. But as a business decision, yeah, to have this sort of like one string to your bow that is like constantly snapping back and blinding you, not great.
In 2019, they end up getting their hands on a very valuable intellectual property, which is James Bond 007. Now,
Yep.
they don't announce this until 2020,
Yeah.
but they do open up in 2019 a second studio in Malmo, which is just across the bridge
Yeah.
from Copenhagen in Sweden. In 2020, they make the announcement that this untitled 007 project, they are developing it and will also be publishing it.
So then in 2021, they self-publish for the first time with Hitman 3, which then also later will get bundled all together. Of course, it's backwards, or it's interoperable. It's backwards compatible with Hitman 2 and Hitman 1.
Yeah, it becomes the world of assassination, the
Yeah,
Hitman
right.
Woe. It's also like clearly like the test bed for like, we can publish stuff, right? We can
Right,
be a
yeah,
publisher. A thing which we'll definitely be able to keep doing going forward, right?
Yeah. So they also open a studio in Barcelona. Then in 2023, they introduce Hitman Freelancer. They
Ooh,
clean up the
Barcelona, most
storefront.
sunburned days.
So they finally bundle the whole trilogy together. Now you can just go to a storefront and buy World of Assassination. But then there's still other like 5 other versions of the games on the storefront. It's still one of the most confusing games to buy because of the live service aspect of things and the bonus levels and the escalations and everything else. I'll keep drinking that garbage because it's the best game ever
Again,
made.
You don't have to tell me. Yeah, no, but deeply frustrating. They also make some kind of missteps with the sort of branded tie-ins. Most notably, they do an elusive target with Conor McGregor.
Oh no!
Yeah, they've started this monetized elusive targets that have like outfits and weapons that you can buy with them, and they're much more elaborate. They really redesign the levels that they're in, and the first one that they do is with Conor McGregor. Now, this is before the findings in the civil case against him, which I should say was a civil rape case. But it was not before this case began. Everyone was already like, "Why did you do this?"
Because people had paid money for people had paid money for it specifically as a piece of DLC. It also meant that they couldn't just pull the Conor McGregor branded suit and the Conor McGregor boxing gloves or whatever. So they had to just de-Stalinize them, right? So they had to it's like the nebulous Irish box.
And now they have finally
re-released it. Yeah,
re-released it. They have erased everyone from the Stalin photo and replaced them with Wiz Khalifa.
I never knew Wiz Khalifa was head of the NKVD.
So that's that. We won't talk about all those elusive targets. They are, for the most part, pretty fun.
But we should talk about one particular elusive target here, which is to say, Le Chiffre.
So Mads Mikkelsen, as Le Chiffre, appears as an elusive target in Hitman that's set in the Paris level.
For watching me fumble a freelancer campaign like it seems your collectibles are not as collectible as you claim, Mr. Bond.
And this elusive target is basically just the plot of Casino Royale. You go and you gamble for a bit. You have to get a certain amount of money so you have enough to stake when you go upstairs to the former auction room, now current gambling room. And then you play a game of poker against him that is not randomized at all. It is a set result. No matter what you do, it's very odd.
I'm sure I'm never going to have to encounter the mechanic of make enough money doing some bullshit to get to the next bit of the game. Because if I did,
it would fucking suck if an IO game included that mechanic.
If I did, I would be so annoyed. Like, there's a reason why they didn't tend to do before the DLCs bits of Hitman levels where Agent 47 has to rummage around for enough pocket change to pay the toll so the gate will go up.
Or where you get poisoned and you have to go and run and get the antidote, and then you also can get tortured. They're introducing mechanics in the Hitman games, because they're all just using the same engine, right? That they're going to feature in 007, including they reintroduce an elevator in one of the later elusive targets, the one with Mila Jovovich. And people are like, oh my God, because the fans they're so weird. They're so excited that elevators were back because there haven't been elevators since Blood Money. IO then does its first, like, they want to do like Nintendo Direct, but just for IO, a studio that has 2 games. So they do their
it's not going to be long.
Like live stream direct conference, and basically everything goes wrong. The audio doesn't work right. The video previews are choppy. But they do have a fun little reunion moment between David Bateson, who plays Agent 47, and Mads Mikkelsen, because they had worked together on a short film back when Mads was still like in school.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was fun to see David Bateson be like, yeah, I worked on the short film with him where he was cuckolding me. And I was like, this guy's a great actor. IO also does one more important thing in 2025, which is it publishes a game from a different developer.
Introducing Mind's Eye. Your story takes place in the city of Red Rock, a desert metropolis where corporate greed and political ambition are in constant friction. In a future that's closer than we think, technology takes care of almost everything, so we don't have. For the first time ever, anyone can build their own Mind's Eye quality missions and games, thanks to our groundbreaking, easy-to-use creation system. No need to be a professional game developer. Simply drop anything you want anywhere you like, be it enemies, vehicles, objects, explosions. We are granting you access to our assets and the superpower to make your own games. We are passionate about democratizing video game development. We invite you to join us in the innovative world of Mind's Eye.
I have not played Mind's Eye. I'm familiar with some of the controversy around it.
Yeah.
And with the sort of allegation. I know it was the guy who got kicked out of Rockstar's big sort of like fuck you project. And then he suggested that like sabotage campaign was being perpetrated against him.
So this guy is very paranoid. There are a lot of like internal emails where he's blaming various companies for sabotaging. The developer, by the way, is called Build a Rocket Boy. I don't know why, but Build a Rocket Boy released Mind's Eye. It's very incomplete. It's very bad. And it was supposed to have these like crossover missions. One where like Hitman was going to have an elusive target related to this game. And then Mind's Eye was going to have Agent 47 come in and do like you would play as him for a DLC for Mind's Eye. It's also supposed to be attached to like a giant Roblox-esque maker platform that's an MMO, and you make your own games inside of it, with Mind's Eye being one of the games that's in it. This has not come out yet. That's an insane idea for an independent studio.
What is this, Meta Horizon Worlds? Come on.
This all doesn't go very well. IO is no longer the publisher of Mind's Eye, so God only knows what kind of internal conversations were happening behind closed doors. But they seem to be chugging along. They also opened a studio in Istanbul.
Even more sunburned Danes.
The other big thing in 2025, of course, is that Amazon, which has owned MGM for a little while now, finally takes over Eon, which is the Broccoli family's holding company that does all of the IP licensing for 007.
In 2026, of course, First Light releases. According to Danish media, the budget was like 1.2 billion kroner, $200 million-ish. Hakan Abrak, the head of IO Interactive, the CEO, he said that might kind of be correct, but that includes like publishing and a lot of promotional money. He said that's not really like the game budget, as it were. It's probably somewhere between 100 and 200 million.
But obviously at this point, too, there's big questions because of the fact that, you know, IO did the deal to make this game and publish this game before Amazon had even touched MGM, let alone Eon.
Yeah.
Now, Amazon, of course, is in a position where they are synonymous with the future of the 007 franchise. And it's kind of unclear, like, if they're going to be able to publish another 007 game, or if it's going to be Amazon, or if Amazon's going to get a different developer. We really don't know at this point.
Yeah, it's been sort of embarrassing having this all be litigated in public, where it just goes to the head of like Amazon games, which was something that Jeff Bezos had already sort of like hugely downsized to be like, yeah, I guess we're going to have to talk to them about it. And it seems like the game's done okay. It really seems like such a power play to do all of that in public, just to air all of that of like, oh, just so you know, we could decide just to do our own thing with it after you committed to this and made all the assets for it and hit the James Bond will return at the end as well.
And 007 First Light is already the fastest selling game in IOI's history. As much as we all love Hitman, as much as it really is the best game of all time.
That's a weird way to pronounce Deus Ex.
And a weird way to pronounce Clair Obscur, but please continue.
It's a niche game. It is a niche game. It's difficult, and you have to learn a certain way of playing it. And it also it's not James Bond. It's just not a huge fucking franchise name like Mario or James Bond.
It has a kind of like limited appeal, and they really clearly intend Bond to be the kind of like flywheel for a bunch of other stuff where it's like, okay, here's our like accessible sort of like tentpole thing.
Yeah, and they're making a fantasy thing next. They have something that's just called, I think, Project Fantasy that's been announced.
Well, why don't we get into the meat and potatoes of this, shall we?
Yeah.
007 First Light begins in media res with this prologue where Navy air crewman Bond is on this chopper.
The SAS are being sent to investigate this mysterious British secret lab on Iceland. Bond is this sort of trainee fleet air arm guy who is like on the helicopter as a ride along with a clipboard. It's interesting that they keep calling him an air crewman. He is an officer. He has to be because he's Commander Bond, mind you, and he has the like, you know, rank insignia for that. That's not an officer role. This only matters to me because I'm autistic, but it does matter to me, right? Like, it's, again, trying to sort of retcon any of this stuff, you always run into problems because it shouldn't make sense. It's a weird tyranny to impose. He's a commander because that's the coolest sounding rank that the Navy has, and it seems a bit debonair and gentlemanly, right? And then the Craig one sort of turned him into more of a kind of like special forces enlisted guy, and now it's sort of like in this weird halfway thing where he's neither one nor the other, or both simultaneously, and that's why he's a commander that everyone keeps calling an air crewman.
Does Fleming's Bond always have a military background?
Yeah, he's always ex-Royal Navy commander, to the point that the book Bond, he has a specific affectation of having custom cigarettes made with 3 gold bands on the filter to emulate his rank.
Jesus Christ, come on.
Well, speaking of the books, Bond gets shot down in his helicopter, lands in the ocean, and gets a little shrapnel that cuts his cheek, which means we finally have a book-accurate Bond with a huge scar across his face.
I like the scar. I like the way Patrick Gibson looks and is depicted in this. I particularly like, again, I'm flashing the T-Boy Chaser ID card. I like that they gave him what I can only describe as the kind of fuckboy British military haircut. That is real.
Yep.
I have hooked up with many such cases on Grindr. Shout out to those guys. Very, very plausible kind of like Brit Mill vibes for sure. I like that the thing that we're doing here is like, oh, this is the making of Bond. He starts out as fucking James Bond Jr. By the end of it, he's going to be James Bonds, right? Sure.
Yeah, so we start this with like a Bioshock thing. You come up above the water. There's flaming aerial wreckage all around you. Crawl to the shore. You get a working radio. You put the earpiece in your ear, and then you hear from Moneypenny.
This is MI6. We're taking control of this mission, effective immediately. Are you injured?
I'll live.
Good, because we need your help. What's your name, soldier?
Bond.
Oh, you're not SAS.
Air crewman.
In training. We'll have to make do. I need you to be our eyes and ears on site. Do you see a camp?
No, but there's some light coming from the other side of the mountain.
That's it. Get there.
He's the sole survivor, which is like that's an interesting sort of dynamic as well. It's like, that's a cool way of introducing the idea that this is a deeply traumatized guy. I look forward to really getting into that at some point in this narrative, maybe.
So now MI6 is running the show, and James Bond has to like say that he won't tell any secrets or anything. This is sort of, it feels like Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. It's more traditional sneaking. It's not IO style sneaking. You are staying out of the way.
The classic sort of sneaking thing where it's like, I think at one point when I was playing this, I went aloud, the long grass hides me, moments before it gave me the tutorial that the long grass hides me. Sure, it's the same sneaking, it's the same stealth as from anything this generation that you've played. You will have played this.
You get to disguise yourself.
It's true. There is a little bit of a Hitman thing where you put on the big puffer jacket.
Don't get used to that.
No, it's not a mechanic. It's just a nod.
He runs into a whole bunch of mercs.
Montenegrin, like in Casino Royale.
And James Bond just happens to speak Montenegrin.
James Bond, the intellectual property that really is putting Montenegro on the map.
Bond gets his first kill. It really like lingers on that. And
he feels kind of traumatized by that. It would be interesting if we were to deal with that as a theme, maybe, because like the thing that people likes the most from the Craig Bond in Casino Royale is, the second, yes, considerably thing.
The whole plot of this level is about you looking at stuff, reading them, and reciting whatever you're finding to Moneypenny so that she can tell you exactly what's going on. Like she has some big bank of intel that's maybe collating everything.
You have to save these like MI6 scientists who are being held hostage, completely innocent despite like working in this sort of secret bio lab. It's not even in Britain. Do you know how much Britain there is? Okay, I realize I'm talking to Americans here. There's hardly any Britain, but there's
not that much Britain. Britain's like a Michigan worth of country.
None of you people have ever been to like Bedfordshire or whatever, where you stand in the middle of the field and you go, I could put a fucking bio lab here, no problem. You know?
Yes, but the satellite didn't fall there. And here's the thing, they're recovering this satellite. That's not important. This will not come up later.
I'm not here to suggest that SIS, MI6, whichever, aren't evil, but that does strike me as a stretch.
But yeah, so Bond is told don't rescue these people and also don't destroy the site. And Bond is like, I'm going to do both of those things. I'm going to rescue the people and I'm going to blow the whole thing up because I feel like it. And so at the first light of dawn, he hits that detonator and the whole satellite that doesn't matter explodes.
Yeah, looks the bad guy, who I'm sure we will see again, in the face and goes, I'm not MI6, I'm something different, actually, which is going to be the plot of the thing.
And that takes us right into the theme song, Lana Del Rey, and they've really done this up to look like a Bond film opening title sequence, and I think this song is fucking great.
I'm not a huge fan of Lana Del Rey in general, but she also is kind of the perfect person to do a Bond song. We find ourselves now in more tutorial. There is a lot of tutorial in this game because there are a lot of mechanics in this game.
It's like there are a lot of mechanics, but also it's a Bildungsroman about becoming James Bonds. And so it has to teach you more. It's about learning how to do the thing. So it's mostly teaching. And that's one of the flaws in it, I guess.
And more broadly, this game breaks down into 3 acts. We have the prologue that we just discussed. We have this first act, which is the training act, the act I like to call, damn it, he gets results.
It's Spy High School. And it's crazy how much it is. It does turn into Spylight pretty quickly.
We learned that M, despite the fact that he broke all the rules, but he gets results, damn it, she is so impressed with his whole deal that she has decided to put him into the trainee program to become a 00 because she's brought it back. She's brought back the 00 program, which has been, I guess, in cold storage for the past like 25 years.
Yeah, because they replaced spies with a computer called Thea.
True.
Because 007s, James Bonds, are like
James
a blunt
Bonds
instrument. James Bonds are a relic of the Cold War, and we think that we don't need them anymore. But this M thinks differently. The blunt instrument thing is the franchise's way of having its cake and eating it, right? Where you occasionally go, do these things ever criticize Bond? And it's like, yeah, they do, by showing a character, usually M, criticize Bond for like getting women killed or like being a misogynist or drinking on the job, and he does all of this stuff and she's shown to be right, and then he succeeds anyway and like is smug about it.
Well, it's exactly the same way that the franchise criticizes the idea of the British intelligence state, which is it's like, well, some bad things have happened, but we need to protect the country, and ultimately we care about things for God and King or whatever.
Yeah, and she says that you're now on His Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, it feels weird. I don't like that. Should go back to a queen. Actually, go back to nothing, but like if we have to, it's less weird.
Dig her
if it's
up,
a queen.
dig her up, put her back.
I'm saying. But like one thing that is also true is like, on the one hand, I should like anything that shows that these things these intelligence services aren't so unified a thing as they, sometimes would wish to be, but are instead more like, I don't know, like the IRS or the Postal Service, right? And full of like big institutions full of people who, some of whom think that their bosses are assholes, some of whom think that their underlings are assholes. That's fine, except in this case, it's always like, yeah, but it was someone else doing the bad stuff. Some of the Craig movies, that's like, oh, it's a separate new intelligence service. In this case, it's, well, we'll get into it, but you get shown around MI6. For some reason, the MI6 office has the windows from your nan's house.
So the MI6 windows, I realized going into this that this was like their attempt to make Hitman Absolution, but people like it this time because Agent 47 isn't in it. And the biggest clue that they're doing Hitman Absolution is that the windows at MI6 are fluted glass, which was something that was all over Hitman Absolution. I know it sounds like I'm just being insane here, but like they really make fluted glass a thing in Absolution to show off, look at what we can do with our windows. And it's not anywhere in the Hitman trilogy. And just like elevators, fluted windows are back.
When I think about MI6 and other things like this is going to sound very autistic and transgender of me. I'm most interested in stuff like, how do you decorate the office? And in this case, it's interesting because it's stuck in the same sort of pitfall as really late Craig, where it wants to do nostalgia, whether that's like M having the kind of Chesterfield upholstered office door or calling it Universal Exports, right? But also having the kind of techie future bit, which is embodied by MI6 literally having like 3 different levels, which we will see, where you have the sort of like upstairs sort of trad office, the downstairs mega screen apocalypse sort of curvy concrete thing, and then a third sort of back rooms MI6 later on.
Yeah, this is fucking UNATCO.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be mentioning Deus Ex a lot in this episode.
UNATCO
but
a lot of
is
events.
definitely the point of, well, it's a point of reference because it's also UNATCO is referencing Bond as well. So, it's recursive in a way.
Ouroboros of references, yeah.
Also worth noting here, there's this character named Miss Ponsonby, who is
I love Miss Ponsonby.
Apparently from the books, but has never been in any of the movies.
I didn't get much info about today's meeting. M, is that a code name?
Would be odd for a surname, wouldn't it?
Oh, let me guess then. Master... Monster?
You're very talkative, aren't you?
Yeah, we did the thing of making Moneypenny more active now, and we just have the secretary be an older woman, which, sure, fine.
They made Moneypenny hot this time. Moneypenny's not always hot, but she very much is in this game.
M is hot. Pretty much everyone is hot now.
But also, as far as everyone being hot goes, I think about a line that Sir Alex Younger, who was C, who was head of MI6 for many years, said that it's not like Bond because the cars are terrible, the pay is crap, and none of us are beautiful. Now, admittedly, statistically kind of improbable, but on that last one. But besides that, like, it's a real determination. Like, we're going to have some glamour here. We're going to give you the movie fantasy. Josh, the thing about UNATCO as well is, you remember how UNATCO had stuff that you could do to like poke around, find secrets about your coworkers. Your boss scolds you for going to the women's bathroom, an experience which, would set me up well for future life.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just kind of on rails hallway. And at one point, literally one of your new coworkers has the door open a crack so you can eavesdrop on tantalizing conversation and closes it in your face. And that's what the whole game feels like.
Yeah, you can occasionally walk around. You have to like really go out of your way to walk around and overhear NPC conversations, of which there are a lot. You can get to even talk directly to a man named Basil, the accountant, and also Whitlock and Henry. Did any of you talk to Whitlock and Henry?
Nope. I talked to Whitlock later. I didn't talk to him earlier.
Okay.
I poked around a bit. I talked to Wenlock and Mandeville or whatever. This was the part that I was sort of most locked in on because it's the part that interests me, that I have my sort of little special interest is anytime I go past Vauxhall Cross, I'm like, what's going on in there? How are you decorating in there? I didn't find any of this hugely interesting, but it was early days yet. So I was like, this is going to get good. Any second now, this is going to get good. They made Hitman, for God's sake. This is going to get good any second now.
And let's talk about James Bond himself, Patrick Gibson, how he sort of fills out the suit.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. So the writer Tom Bissell who has worked on a lot of video games. He's written a lot about video games, nonfiction. He's written a lot of novels. He co-wrote The Disaster Artist with Greg Sestero,
which we talk about in our episode on The Room.
He's also worked on things like Edith Finch and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. He recently wrote for Andor.
Yeah, he did the final 3 episodes.
So he was working on the pilot for a TV series based on Masters of Doom, which was a book about the history of id Software. Patrick Gibson was playing John Carmack in that. That pilot never got picked up, but Tom ended up writing over at I.O. and called in Patrick to audition for Bond.
I think he gives a great performance as Bond in this, pretty much across the board. He doesn't really have a lot to work with, is what I'll say.
Just has to be charming. Yeah.
I'm going to come out here and admit my truth. I think Timothy Dalton is my favorite performance as Bond, but I have a real affinity for the Roger Moore era.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
If Patrick Gibson had been given the opportunity to be silly at like any point during this game, I would have been more endeared to Bond, but he's more Marvel quippy, but
he's wry. He's Joss Whedon coded.
Speaking of the Ouroboros, right? Like there is a characteristic to Joss Whedon's dialogue that is pulled from James Bond. It's just different when that dialogue is delivered by a young person than when it's delivered by like a balding 45-year-old. And so then it becomes Joss Whedon just by that virtue.
The thing is, I think that Patrick Gibson is the best part of this game. I think he does a fantastic job. I think he looks incredible, like in the role. I think it's the kind of closest we've gotten to the like Daily Express illustration of Bond, the one that's on the like Wikipedia page. You know, that I really quite like that. I think he does a great job. But as you say, the material, my God, the material.
He also looks a lot like Sterling Archer. And the devs know this because there are Archer references in the game.
It's a tactical turtleneck, Lana, the tactile neck.
And they even have tactile neck written down in the description for the tactical turtleneck. That's if you're fucking around with TaxSim and looking at the costume options in the menu. Okay. So yeah, there's no reason you'd see that in the main game.
TaxSim I assume we'll get to, but it's fucked up that they put the real video game at the end of the fake one as a joke.
But also the real video game is still sort of forthcoming. There's not that much in the TaxSim yet.
Bond's primary, I guess, foil in this game is a man known as John Greenway, who is the head of training at MI6.
Yeah, he's the gruff, fucking initially unlikable father figure. He's Bond Snape. And I...
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
Because it is Harry Potter again.
Really enjoyed Patrick Gibson's performance. I really liked what Lenny James was doing in this game.
Yeah, he's
with
great.
The material. He's also, I noticed, with all of the character models, they all mostly look like the real life person, but Greenway looks exactly like Lenny James. It's crazy.
It's the only thing that throws me, that gives me pause, is that they put him in a pair of glasses that make him look a bit like James Cleverly. Given that sort of like M looks a little bit like Suella Braverman, I'm just sort of stuck in sort of nightmare British politician realm at this point. I like Bond Snape. I don't like that they made Harry Potter, even if it is a bunch of Danes correctly assessing what they think British people will like.
Oh my God, they even gave him a scar. Oh my God.
It's funny that you mentioned Harry Potter because I was looking up Lenny James because I hadn't seen anything that he had done. He is in an episode of Archer, though. But he was on Walking Dead in a recurring role. And he also currently plays the Sorting Hat in the new Harry Potter audiobook.
Oh, for fuck's sake, man.
Speaking of the kind of Ouroboros thing, part of the reason why Harry Potter has the scar and is the sort of orphan survivor of the accident that killed his parents at an early age is James Bond. Also, like there's one idea that's been kicking around like $5 between trans women's Patreon.
Everything is James Bond. I didn't realize this because I've never watched.
This has been I have
never watched
theory.
a James Bond movie from beginning to end. I have seen a number of James Bond movies in part on TV.
Please.
And I think that's what I will continue to do for the rest of my life, is never see a full Bond movie.
I watched 9 Bond movies in the lead up to this episode because I had to know.
No, you didn't.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I wanted to. Because I hadn't seen them, and I'm like, this might be fun. And
Please
then I realized,
tell me you at least watched Casino Royale.
Of course, yeah. No,
Okay.
The Peter Sellers one, yeah, no. It's so surprising to go back and watch the Connery ones and just realize like how much they suck for how many people like really laud them. I find watching him repellent for the most part, and most of Goldfinger is watching two men golf, and I'm like, this was okay, this was allowed. And now I feel like I have a better understanding of the franchise history, and I can appreciate some stuff in First Light a little bit more, because at least it's coherent in a way that a lot of the Bond movies I watched were just like slogs.
Check this out. More like Dr. No Good Movie.
Whoa.
The thing is that Bond fans genuinely do not deserve rights. Anytime anyone gets their hands on Bond, they always have to genuflect to these people and go, we're acutely aware of the cultural sensitivities and the value, and we love James Bond. And it's particularly galling when you're doing that on a take on Bond that is about how much he loves breaking rules and doing things a little differently. Oh, we're so aware of the burden of the heritage. We're going to put a billion little Easter eggs in to be like, movies, remember movies? We remember movies, when it's specifically about trying to put a blank slate on the cunt.
Well, to the point of both remembering movies and breaking rules, we see this embodied in the training montage that comprises a good chunk of this intro, where you are learning the mechanics of the game, like the brawling system, the driving system, gunplay, through a filmic montage where sometimes there are cuts in the middle of the action. For me, this was really effective as a way of tutorializing, but I'm also like, every third-person cover shooter in the next, 3 years is going to try to do this, and it's going to fail because it doesn't understand that the reason this works is that it's extending filmic language for a filmic property into a video game.
Why are we doing the training montage in Malta? There's space in Britain. There's stuff. There's places you can do stuff. Does fucking MI6 not do anything in this country? What happened to buying British, for fuck's sake?
They even keep going back and forth too. It's like, this is just way too expensive.
When you get into MI6, you have to commute between London and Malta.
Like, isn't there a warehouse in Leeds they can do this in or something?
I mean, M keeps talking about budget cuts, and I'm like, just stop sending people to Malta.
They fly the motherfucker out there on like a fucking C-130. It might be a C-17 even, right? Which seems to contain only him, and he is met on the tarmac by Snape driving a lovingly restored Series 3 Land Rover, which is the only thing besides an Aston Martin anyone in Malta drives. And I'm like, okay, so that's where the defense budget is, I guess. It's propping up one Maltese guy who restores old Land Rovers. Because it's either that, right, or you have to interact with the real world, right, and the consequences of you deciding to set this in Malta because it seemed exotic and was somewhere interesting to render, which then means that James Bond has to be deeply familiar with the fucking Ryanair flight from Stansted to Valletta.
The montage should have included a Ryanair flight. That would be much more interesting. There would be much more fist fighting going on.
James Bond trying to fit his fucking MI6 special gadget-filled suitcase into the little sizing thing.
What do you mean I have to pay for Coca-Cola?
I'm sorry, caffeine-free Coca-Cola Zero.
That's true. I'm sorry.
Which is another brand featured in this game. But the montage is very impressive because it does these hard cuts from one environment to another with the action already flowing. And it feels good and it feels complete. You don't have a whole lot of stuff popping in after the fact. You don't have a pause for loading. It's very impressive. It's a good use of the Glacier engine.
I'm a little sad they didn't use Playing with the Boys as the song underneath it. But I mean, other than that.
And they allow you to learn, shooting and punching and stuff, but not all at the same time. You just get to do it in pieces and just keep moving. You meet two people here. Monroe and Cressida.
Yeah, you meet Ron and Hermione.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, the deal is that Cressida is posh and smart, but sometimes too smart for her own good, and sort of has trouble relating to people, and is amazing at everything, and has amazing test scores, but is sometimes a little too high up in the world, and she's Hermione Granger. And then you meet the other guy who's maybe from a bit more of a kind of streetwise sort of way. And he doesn't trust you because you're posher than him, and he thinks that, he's insecure about that, and he thinks that you got where you are just because of who your parents were, and he's Ron Weasley. But the other thing about this is that first of all, Monroe, right, who is also Forces, is like sort of like second generation SAS, right? This is a guy who is like deeply enmeshed in a homoerotic thing, thinks that it's good idea to nickname you Air Crewman, the worst nickname I've ever heard, but also went through multiple years of the SAS, named Monroe, being aggressively homoerotic, never being nicknamed Marilyn. Not believable to me. Let me explain to you something about how fucking gay any kind of conservative, authoritarian, militaristic British institution is. There would have been guys cross-dressing as Marilyn Monroe, complete with the steam vent thing to fuck with him. I do want to note that I played this with a very close friend of mine and watching, and I could see her opening AO3 in order to start writing erotic fanfiction of Bond and Monroe.
Yeah, you have a big homoerotic fight with Monroe.
Dude, they are about to kiss at the end. It is crazy.
I'm just realizing now that Cressida is also an obscure character from a Shakespeare play, and the way that Hermione is. Oh my god, I can't believe I missed this.
Oh my god. Now that we have our core friendship together, our core three, who are definitely going to be with us for the rest of the game. Yep. We move on now to our first big mission. Well, there is a small mission, actually, a mini mission in the nightclub, which is cool.
There's the lads' night out thing.
Yeah, that's fun. They clearly took a little bit of what they learned building Berlin in Hitman and retooled it a bit. But from here, we're off to our first big mission. We get a big briefing from Moneypenny. It turns out that there's a man named Reese Beckett. He's 009 from way back in the day. He's gone rogue, and he's at a chess tournament in Slovakia at the Grand Carpathian Hotel, and so we got to go bring him in because he knows something or something.
That's a little bit like the chess tournament in From Russia with Love. Damn, that's crazy.
I know. And there's a guy from Czechoslovakia playing in that chess match in From Russia with Love, and we're in Slovakia? Yeah. Wow. And this begins the second act of the game, which is the 009 saga, right? We have 3 chapters coming up here that are all in some way dealing with Reese Beckett, a character you never meet.
Yeah, the Ballad of 009.
And Bond has been tasked with being the chauffeur and just kind of hanging out in the parking lot because Greenway doesn't like him. And Greenway's like, you get to drive the car. That's it. Sorry, bud. But there is this mysterious bellhop who is mishandling some luggage, and Bond is like, well, I need to see what's going on with him. And that takes us into the level and the gameplay.
And this is really good design for communicating to Hitman players that they're not playing Hitman.
Yes.
Because you have this big area. You're going to go in and out of like back rooms and the main rooms, and there's going to be these crowds and overhearing stuff and grabbing sort of disguises, like sometimes a hat or a pass. But it's linear. Meaningfully, what you are doing is you should just be following the glowing stuff that you see on the screen and just going straight for it.
Crucially, it's also giving you the horrifying experience of being a security guard in the world of assassination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the guy that you're chasing is like an alarmingly tall and muscular, like very white guy who keeps fucking changing outfits. And it does not get tired of, isn't this funny? This is kind of like Hitman. But to be fair, the first time, it is funny.
It is very funny.
Like, okay, the guy's got a whole different fucking outfit now. Okay, sure.
Well, this, I think, is a great example of one of my key issues with this game, which is there's always one or two too many beats in every single part of the game. Where, you're exactly right. Running after this guy a time or two would be great, but he changes costumes and keeps running from you like fucking 5 times or something.
If you have the standard UI, it will actually tick off those beats for you, which means you will get to see it pop up when you hit the first one and groan when there are 5 more.
And I mean, it's because it is so long because they want you to explore every single part of this mansion that they've built. The way it's designed is it does lead you to different floors at different times, which I thought was very well executed, but it can feel limiting in a way that Hitman is just like a sandbox and it tells you
one of the kind of classic things, right, that strikes me about this that this game keeps doing is it keeps misunderstanding rather that Deus Ex or Hitman isn't having a bunch of systems in place that you can learn and then make interact. It's when you have 3 ways to get into a room that are all slightly different, and then you pick one of them and you do it. Or because it really wants you to explore when you do all three of them up to a point, and then you do the third one all the way through. And it keeps making you do that infinity times in the course of this game. There will be like, you have to get into this room. Do you want to climb in from the balcony on the opposite room? Do you want to like do some social engineering to get a key card? Do you want to climb in through a vent?
Do you want to shoot somebody with the throw up dart?
Yeah, you'll pull a bunch of threads, and then you'll follow two of them almost all the way there, and you'll do it the third time. And there's specifically one of the gadgets you get is like a sort of laser attached to your exquisitely, fucking product placed Omega watch, right? That you can blind people with to like distract people. I was routinely getting so bored that when someone had a key or an ID card or something that I needed, I was hitting them with the laser in the face, giving them free LASIK, not breaking stride and grabbing the thing off of them. James Bond has cured so much myopia.
And speaking of those plot threads, the ones that you can follow up to a certain point and then stop, what I find very distinctive about them is that none of them are silly and none of them are cartoonish, right? This game serves at the altar of cool, I think, to a fault. James Bond can never be the Bond that's flying off a mountain and opening a giant parachute that has the Union Jack on it.
I slightly disagree. I think it gets a lot more Brosnan towards the end, but what I think it does tend to do is it gets like little kind of jokey lines off, some of which are funny, most of which aren't, but it gates those strictly. So you never feel like good stealth, right? Should feel like being, I'm using the sort of like little bastard toolkit of like roguish annoyance, right? There are a handful of times when you can make it feel that way, but in the main, nothing really feels that smug, which is a crazy thing to say about a Bond game, because it's the worst of all possible worlds, because it has the smugness that you love to hate. It has the smugness that you love to hate about Bond, but that's mandatory. You have to do it, but you also have to do all of the kind of straight-laced Craig sad Bond stuff.
In terms of things that I do find fun about the core of this, again, it's up to a point because of the thing where there's always an extra beat or three. Some of the sneaking, crouching, manipulation stuff I found enjoyable. It's dependent on the level. Some of these levels are better designed for stealth than others.
Yeah,
but
some of them are
generally,
like they just want to funnel you into violence instead. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But some of them do give you multiple routes that you can use to sneak past guys, and you can quietly eliminate them on your way to the objective.
Or in some cases, you can bluff, which is actually really fun. They've written these lines of dialogue for Bond that fit into specific moments that are very true to life, that you can just walk into places. People don't know this. You can just walk into places.
There's a cute little reference to Beverly Hills Cop in one of the later levels where if you pull this on someone, Bond does the Axel Foley move of like, with the special intelligence counter-insurgent crime team investigation brigades. And they go, oh shit, yeah, okay.
It would be cool with this bluff mechanic too if they could find a way to bring it back into Hitman at some point. I don't know how that would work exactly, or if it would be compatible with the dynamics of the underlying game.
I'm just now realizing that the full name of Spectre, the special executive for fucking contortionism, terrorism, like revenge or whatever, is just a Beverly Hills Cop bit gotten out of hand. Something stopped Blofeld as he was getting the laser, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm with the special executive.
Spectre's blowing all their money on giant fish windows. So, Josh, the biggest problem with like incorporating bluff into Hitman is that they would have to account for any outfit that you're wearing, and since you don't really wear a lot of disguises in Bond, you're able to make it a little bit more consistent. But like Agent 47, you'd have to account for the fact that he might be having this conversation while wearing a full clown outfit.
Well, something that's really annoying, and here is the first time I'm going to mention something that's going to be the real locus of my criticism of this game. In the Uncharted games, when you get sort of like new, don't worry about it, you can get like new sort of outfits or whatever, which could be completely different characters. And not only do you get access to like the sort of video player where you can sort of like redo all the cutscenes, but this time Nathan Drake is lying on his own couch wearing scuba gear, but you can also like play the game doing those things. This doesn't let you change how Bond looks while you're playing it. Or
No,
rather, I should
only
say,
in
while you're playing the
Taxim.
fake game that lasts 60 hours ahead of the fake game, ahead of the real game. Yeah.
60.
It's weird though. There's a lot of limitation on your gadgets that's in the main game. There's no new game plus where you start over and you have all of your gadgets. It's just for Taxim.
They are adding that.
They are
coming
adding
up,
that
yeah.
in the future.
They're adding a new game plus. Yeah.
Oh.
One of the pre-order bonuses was you can have Bond's number one dress, Navy
Yeah.
uniform if you want to, which would be kind of cute and funny, but not only in this
Only
one
in
game
Taxim.
mode.
Yeah. Only when you're doing the VR missions from Metal Gear Solid.
If you are in Mauritania, you have to wear the Dan Flashes shirt.
The other big thing that happens during this mission is you run across a maid who seems a bit out of place.
Ooh, sneaky maid.
Yeah, she's too hot to be a normal maid. She's got to be a sort of
Exactly.
neutral antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, why does the maid outfit say Spectre on it? No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
The special executive for cleaning, tidying up, rummaging, and
Etc.
You also come across the antagonists of the early portion of the game, the Murto twins.
It's two guys.
Yeah, one guy who was running away from you is actually two guys, and they're both tall and jacked and thinnish.
it's fucked up that a game this online doesn't have a 1 in 1,000 chance for Bond to hit them with a well if it isn't the Blowjob Brothers.
know.
But yeah, the Murto Brothers, their name kind of means death if you're bad at speaking Spanish.
I do really like it when Scandinavians. We've played quite a few Scandinavian games just for this podcast. I do really like it when Scandinavians start getting racist towards each other.
The real racism here from Danes would be okay, yeah, you can fight the Finns, but what the thing is you just have to survive long enough for their suicide timer to count down to 0, and then they'll kill themselves.
So let's talk a little bit about the way that hand-to-hand combat works in this game,
Yeah.
because at this point you've
Really
done
well.
a few
Really
brawls.
well.
You like it?
I love it. This is my favorite part of this.
Okay.
I'm profoundly weak for a sort of Assassin's Creed / Arkham hand-to-hand combat thing. In particular, the grab function in this really understands how funny it is to throw things at people and people off of
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it nails both of those. Admittedly, it does mean that every time you throw a cup of tea at someone, Bond does a tea-related joke, which made me want to kill myself and harm others around me.
I
But,
agree with you, Nova, that I think that the actual mechanics of the fighting system itself are a heck of a lot of fun. The problem is they just teach them to you not in the main game. They teach it to you in the real game.
They teach you how to grab and then kick someone while you're grabbing them or just fling them, but they don't teach you that you can just hold it in the PlayStation sense, the right trigger.
Yeah,
and
R2 is
you
the
will
win button.
automatically push them very, very far, including into a wall, including into another person, including over the edge of the cliff.
There was a bit where there's a fight sort of very clearly set up for this in the Mauritania level, where you're on top of a very sort of open walled structure that's just got some fences, some loose fences around it, and I think I threw every single person off of that, many floors to their death, and I had the time of my life. So but they do kill Monroe, which is going to make my friend's erotic fan fiction very short. The other thing they do is that once you disarm the bomb with 007 seconds left on the time,
I didn't even notice that.
then
God damn it.
they hit you with a classic, the bomb's not the real bomb, idiot.
Yeah,
Detonate the real bomb, which then fucks up Hermione Granger's legs real bad.
She is tragically paralyzed, folks. My least favorite trope in all of fiction.
Okay, here's a weird thing though. In a later level, if you listen to enough NPCs talking, you'll come across someone who says that Cressida will walk again.
Oh, okay. Great.
That's the final title card. After James Bond will return, Cressida will walk.
Because of even dumber reasons that are related to a boss that we'll talk about, I'm sure she will. I genuinely thought that they were going to do something excruciating, which is having put her in a wheelchair to then make her Batgirl, right? To go fully killing her with it, right? And go she's your money penny now, because she's going to be on the computer while you're running around with your functional legs. They don't do that, but what they do instead is just completely write her out of the rest of the game.
Yeah, she's gone. Bye, Cressida.
And also, all the other people who were training with you, they're also dead. You never got to know them, but they died too.
It would seem like James Bond, right, who has gone from being sole survivor of the last thing to sole survivor of this thing could maybe stand to develop some like trauma and something of a complex about this, and maybe some of his antagonists could know this and maybe mention this to him. Hey, something that some of the movies have done many times, of being like, hey, does it feel bad, the fact that you seem to keep getting people killed? And maybe this could be the first thing to ever use that effectively.
And this is where I also feel like this is where he should get the scar.
Yeah.
Like this event, this failure, which they also keep reminding him was not his failure, even though he went off book, he disobeyed orders, and then a disaster happened. They're always like, yeah, but you were the right one. You were the only one who could have prevented this disaster. It's not as interesting as if he caused a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, what the game does at this point is it sends you into the first big open combat area, where there's like a big car chase with the Aston Martin.
Yeah, the vintage Aston Martin. Yeah, not the Valhalla.
You get the Bond theme for the first time.
And you get to this big runway where there's a plane that's about to take off. You have to gun down a bunch of guys. This is where you get, for the first time, a big red indicator over top that says license to kill.
Yep.
And now you have the ability to start picking up guns and shooting guys. At this point, the game is a full-on third-person cover shooter in the style of, dare I say it, Uncharted. And I am curious to hear how people find these sections of the game where it's basically forced gunplay.
I hate it. I hate this in Uncharted. I'm not a big like shooter game guy in the first place. This section is more or less fine. You also find out that the red exploding barrels that have been in every game since like Area 51 or whatever, they explode huge. They make gigantic fucking explosions.
You also kind of have to use them, right?
Yeah.
Like, one thing I did find is, maybe I'm outing myself as not being a very good player of video games, but I don't think I am. I played this on the like standard normcore difficulty, and so, like whenever the guns come out, it gets to be kind of a struggle.
Yeah,
Even in
I
the bits where they
died a
force it.
lot.
Yeah.
And eventually it kind of clicked for me that like, I have to be hitting the red barrels at every point that it sort of marks them. Otherwise, I'm just going to get swarmed. It's kind of satisfying when you nail it, when you're like snapping off headshots and stuff. It really demands some of the same things that Uncharted does, which is a lot of movement, a lot of switching weapons so they can show off the Bond kicks the gun up into his hand animation.
You can throw guns, spent guns at the enemy to knock them out.
Yeah, it feels like Hotline Miami to me. Like when it was working, it encourages you to just keep moving and to use your gadgets to also blow up things.
But Hotline Miami generally, if you have all the NPCs going after you at the same time, you've done something wrong. And here, I don't know, I just found it very annoying. I found all the obligatory shooting sections just extremely annoying and sometimes just like overwhelmingly difficult for no reason.
Yeah, the gadget thing is particular to me as well, because there's sort of like a bit later on where you get a sort of missile fountain pen.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only does it sort of start gating your survival of every gunfight behind using that, but it gives you a tooltip that pops up repeatedly being like, use the thing.
Use the pen right now.
Or else.
Yeah, it's like your big brother taking the controller away from you. But the thing is, by that point, I was so used to the controller and I was so good at the shooting at that point. I was so locked in. I didn't start needing to, and it was a perverse sort of thrill to not use the thing, even when it throws at you my least favorite type of guy in anything. The guy who brought so much armor to the fight that you have to shoot the bits of armor off of him by going around him.
I want
to
to click on heads. I want to click on heads. That's the way that I play video games. Let me click on the head for
once
fuck's
they're
sake.
down. That's
One
it.
of the kind of strengths of the combat is that it allows you to be flashy. It really, clearly they prioritize that. And so headshots, instant kills, apart from those guys, shooting someone in the hand disarms them and throws the gun up in the air for you to catch it, shooting them in the leg, they fall down.
I found it to be less actually laborious to just run up to the guys in the armor and engage them in fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Like that ended up being quicker.
Yeah, some places it's just too long of a space and too many NPCs that you can't do that until later. But your bullets are so short-lived, you have to keep running forward anyway to grab new guns, so you might as well just start swinging at people.
It doesn't have something like, say, Deus Ex or Metal Gear Solid or even fucking The Last of Us, where they are informing each other about your whereabouts. No, they just all immediately descend upon
There
your
is
location.
a slight variation on this, but you have to really refuse to commit to what the game wants you to do.
Yeah.
And that is the second anyone pulls a gun on you and you get the big red license to kill, you don't go into shooting mode.
Right.
You stay in Arkham mode and you just kick the shit out of people. And what it does is you hit enough people, even if they're shooting at you. And yeah, sometimes we'll draw in reinforcements. I did in one server room level have to beat up the entire room while they shot at me, which was hysterical to watch, I'm told.
Yes,
but
yes.
eventually, what you will do is you will hit a guy in the face with a teacup, and having had the sort of like Johnny English joke of this one room that is just like combat noises for like an hour and a half, you'll get a little green situation contained banner, which is the perfect punchline to throwing a guy out of a 5th story window.
So you go to the funeral of Monroe.
Of Monroe and the other 4 agents who trained with you.
And the other 4 agents.
Some of whom have names.
Name them.
One thing that I noticed, by the way, about those other 4 is that their faces were rendered in considerably less detail than Cressida and Monroe, which tipped me off that these were not people I needed to care about.
Well, they're from 007 Legends.
So people know how much, I used to work a lot as an extra, and I love nothing more than bad extras. And I've talked about like one of my favorite bad extras, which isn't even a live person, being in Anastasia when she tries on the new gown, and there's just this very unmotivated gesture from one of the ladies helping her with the gown. In this game, we have top of the line bad extra moment where you have broken the rules in the middle of the night and you have snuck through the base and you've stolen the flag. This was supposed to be a team exercise. It was you, Cressida, and Monroe versus the other 3 00 trainees.
They would be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
They have lost on a technicality, and yet,
when morning comes, at first light, one might say, Greenway's like, now we're going to start the game, and then Bond's like, I have the flag already, yay. The other team is like vaguely enthusiastic, kind of throwing up their arms very slowly, or slowly like fake clapping. They don't talk.
Yes.
They can't talk. You can't pay them. But
nope.
they're non-union.
The 00 program is made up mostly of unpaid interns.
But now they're also dead.
Yay!
They're all getting buried. You see Cressida for a moment. You see Cressida's dad. We're not going to talk about him. He's important to the plot, and just
he's in the government.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
He's barely important to the plot.
No, he's
the
very
foreign
important to the
secretary
plot
or
because they're
whatever.
going to make him into the prime minister, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, it does not fucking
They're
matter.
gonna make Andy Burnham into the prime minister before this comes out, and that's not going to matter either.
So you also meet Sir Nicholas Webb, who is this billionaire tech guy. He made the Thea computer that we'll talk about later, and also he's the villain of the
I guess
story.
you could call him a web developer because he also has
That's
a
damn
son
true.
named Webb.
That's what we're going to be looking forward to once we get into the second half.
Other things that we'll talk about in the second half include Lenny Kravitz, a vacation in Vietnam, some boat sex.
Yep.
And so in the meantime, please enjoy this very real trailer for a new Bond movie coming to you very soon.
Coming this summer, when the world is on the brink of annihilation, there's only one number to call.
Bond. James Bond. Sorry, what was the question?
James Bond returns for another rip-roaring adventure of international espionage and intrigue.
Dmitry Salazar has procured several high-propulsion rockets, 007, and it's up to you to find out why.
Well, it looks like he's got nowhere to go but up.
Bond, is that a martini?
Shaken, not stirred.
It's like 8 o'clock in the morning.
You're not my parents. They're dead.
Go!
And he's going to need all the help he can get.
Here we are, 007. My newest invention. It's a tiny helicopter hidden inside of a much larger helicopter. I call it a matryoshcopter. What do you think?
Now who's this saucy little minx?
007, please don't tell me you've stuck your genitals in the pencil sharpener again.
Q, you are never gonna believe this.
Bond, It's like 9 o'clock in the morning.
I'm an orphan!
Witness the greatest spy the world has ever known. Just kind of fuck around for 2 hours.
Mr. Bond, I see you found my flying fortress. Exquisite, is it not? Man has dreamed for years of flight, and now... what are you doing?
Is this all of a move you have?
Dear God, man! Half those bottles were decorative! You've drunk me out of house and home!
I've given it a new home, Salazar. In my tumby. And now, it's time for Rumby.
Ah! You missed!
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes! Guards, seize him!
My name is Bond, I'm awesome. I'm gonna fuck on a boat. If there's a guy, I'll toss him. Kicks me in the scrub.
Experience the romance that could only come from a man who regularly sticks his penis into a pencil sharpener.
Bond, come in, are you there? Bond!
I did it, Moneypenny. It's over. It looks like what goes up must certainly come down.
Congratulations, Bond. Now hurry back to your bungalow. I'm sure Miss Leia Bia is eager to congratulate you on a job well done.
I didn't do it for the girl, Moneypenny, or the cool cars that go vroom vroom, or for bloody England. I did it for the sea.
The sea? Like the ocean?
Yash. Majestic, isn't she? So big and wet. She winks at me with the eyes of my parents. Wink. But I can never have her, Moneypenny. Not really. I can fuck everything on this earth, and I have. But I can never, ever fuck the sea.
Is that why you're always making love on boats? That's really quite odd, James.
My parents are dead!
Featuring a new Bond theme written by the hottest singer of 2001, Norah Jones.
When I saw her cresting waves, put some men in early graves, instead of thrusting in the sand, I'll catch commies in my hand.
I'm coming, sweet Christina! Jimmy Bonds is gonna fuck the sea!
007 returns in
Ride the wave, baby.
The Spy Who Loved Sea. Seeing is believing.
Yeah. Oh my god. What? It's working! Yes! Yes!
And that's why I didn't come.
Jimmy Bonds.
Well, I wasn't expecting them to settle the casting of Bond that way.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. But you know what? They're lucky to have them.
Yeah, I just feel in general that podcasters need to be getting more work these days. And it's good to see that that's what's going on.
Yeah, they should do a James Bond podcast series, sort of like when they do the radio episodes of Doctor Who.
Ooh, I don't know if there's the audience for a podcast about James Bond, though.
Oh, no, there isn't.
Well, let's move on to the next stage, the next world, the next plot beat of 007 First Light, because we have to go to a place known as Aleph.
Yes, run by Lenny Kravitz, baby.
Run by a guy named Bavma.
Lenny Kravitz is making a less equitable society in Mauritania.
That's right.
Basically, you planted your Q watch on the Uncharted 3 plane to track 009 back to Aleph. And we're going to yada the fuck out of yada for this one because there is just so much going on here. There's a lot of internal politics to this whole level, and it's not really germane to everything else.
It's one of the most padded bits of a very padded game. This is the thing I was joking about when I said it would suck if you had to sort of like make a bunch of money in order to unlock the next mission is they do that here. To get into the mission, you have to do a bunch of bullshit side quests.
I
things.
texted you when I was at this point because I made the huge fucking mistake of wanting to like play a piece of it slightly differently, and I hit the pause menu and I said reload from checkpoint, and it turns out that the checkpoint is not the mini quest that you most recently completed. It is the beginning of this entire fucking segment.
Yeah, one thing you learn when you try to do the challenges, and you have to get every single challenge for every level to get the outfit, and aside from that you get nothing else. So you have to do the pacifist, the non-pacifist,
the
ghost.
You can only wear in Taxim.
To get the outfit you can only wear in Taxim. I didn't do it for this level, but I did it in plenty of other levels where I wanted to do the ghost run or the pacifist run, where I learned the hard way where most of the checkpoints are, and they're usually right before very annoying lines of dialogue that I then had to hear 50 times.
The thing is that IO are at their best when they realize that the real fans, the ones who are going to sink sort of stupid numbers of hours into their games, have the kind of collector hoarder habits because of the neurodivergence, right? Because we want to have it's why Freelancer being a roguelike frustrated me so much, is because like you're going to give me the collectibles and then disincentivize me from ever using them because you can rob me of them.
Right.
By the same token, why give me the option of all of the cool little challenges and stuff if they don't do anything? And then
But you can play 3-card Monty. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, you play this
not really.
This cup game that has a predetermined outcome, and the way to win is to cheat using the Q lens.
Yeah, if you actually try to play the game legitimately, it will not let you win.
It just won't let you win.
Cheat.
It's really quite strange, and there's only one outcome every time.
Schrodinger's cat, where you can only sort of reveal the outcome one way.
The cat is dead.
You can do like in the latest Indiana Jones game and join a little fight club.
You can break into a Ubisoft climb the climby thing puzzle, which is where I threw all of those guys to their death from.
And once you get enough of the money that you need for this, it's immediately off to an auction where Bond is bidding alongside a bunch of other people for an opportunity to do something for someone. Again, doesn't really matter.
They get a drone, and instead of bidding money, you bid like embassies and bodyguards and stuff like that.
They're doing fucking truth or dare, but on a geopolitical scale. It's very stupid.
Well, yeah, and Bond's idea of solving this problem of giving the best bid is selling Greenway into slavery.
Yeah, he does do that. Yeah, he does try to sell his dad into slavery.
Greenway is injured from Slovakia as well.
Right.
He only has the use of one of his arms at this point in time. The other one's in a sling.
But this auction gives Bond then the ability to be freed from the clutches of Lenny Kravitz, I guess.
No, that's not what happens, but it doesn't matter.
Great.
This gets them the intel that they need to get to 009's boat.
Right.
Where they find him, and whoops, he died.
Womp.
Killed by the Finns, I think.
But much like Mr. Police, he left you all the clues.
It's one step away from you press L3 to activate your Bond vision. In this case, you hold L1 to activate your Bond vision and find the clues that direct you to the next fucking section of the thing.
Yeah. Well, so we learn a few things about like how 009 betrayed Greenway a long time ago.
Operation Nightfall.
How maybe he's not actually bad because it seems like he's left these clues for you to find him, but he knew he was going to die.
The classic role of the 009 to pass you the vital information and then fucking get it. And
so then you do like a long
Yeah.
platforming, sneaking, shooting section through a boat. You find some more intel.
It has the briefcase from Russia with Love that you have to turn.
The funniest possible payoff of that is they find that, because this, again, it has this idea, right, that MI6 works like the cops, and so Bond and Greenway are in Mauritania because M has had to be like, you're off the case, you got 24 hours to like prove that some shit's going on here and it's not all Bond's fault. So they find these papers in what they know to be the exploding briefcase that explodes if you open it wrong. And then they put the vitally important prove your innocence documents
back
in that briefcase.
Why did they do that? I mean, for plot reasons, but like, come on, guys.
Yeah. So this shows us that 009 was the target in Slovakia rather than the perpetrator.
At the chess match?
Yeah.
He didn't do the big explodey
As
boom
they're
boom?
escaping, in another certified Bond moment, a guy with a kind of cool, kind of creepy full-face mask and a special kill squad of mercenaries takes a shot at their immaculate Series 3 Land Rover with an RPG, flipping it over, incapacitating them. The first guy gets up, goes to the briefcase, blows his own head off. Kind of funny. Why'd you put the documents in there, dude?
But hey, you're saved. You're saved by Lenny Kravitz,
Yeah.
Bavma himself.
You had a moment where he was going to feed you to crocodiles, but then you said, oh, we know where your sister is. It'll be in the DLC. And he's like, okay, that's fine. There's a lot of moments of people just turning immediately when you're like, yes, but the water supply that you poison. They're like, oh, okay, you're my friend now.
The most reductive concept of like intelligence possible is like, oh yeah, we've got enough blackmail material on everyone that we can just say the secret words that makes them do whatever we want. It does do one real piece of geopolitics here where, so like the deal that we've kind of skipped over is that you were briefly trying to replace Lenny Kravitz, Bavma, as the Pirate King with someone you think is going to be more pliable. And Bond, brackets young and dumb and full of cum, is like, why are we doing this? Because he like supports terrorism and all of this. And Greenway, elder, jaded, no longer full of cum, is like, it's better to have one of our guys be the main terrorist so we can control it and know everything. Which is absolutely a real fallacy that like your actual MI6 will engage in.
But it turns out that Bavma actually is your guy because you know where his sister is, and so he's turned. And he's there to save you, but it's worth noting that section where he saves you, this is probably the most difficult shooting section of the game. And the whole thing ends with you losing. And you're supposed to lose. But you're supposed to lose the right way.
It's a classic Call of Duty forced failure.
Like, a forced failure is fine. But, like, some games do it where it's just, like, the first time you get owned, that's it. You know, maybe you could make it really far, maybe you don't make it really far. But instead, for this one, you have to play the whole thing. I died so many times just to get to the next scene where I then also died because I was conserving my bullets, but you're supposed to lose by running out of ammo, and then the cutscene will play. Why?
Yeah, it's why they make your dad hand you more and more sort of like magazines for the thing until you're finally out.
We now return back to England, drop Greenway off at a pub. There's actually a really fun sequence here where you just walk around the apartment.
Yeah, it's got all the things from the dead people. All those shoes that will never be worn by feet.
Adult trainers never worn.
and so you find this note in your bedroom that's like, I really suck at being a spy. I'm overwhelmed by guilt. Here are some themes that would have been interesting to explore had this game been more had been better written. Yours suicidally,
James Bond, being of sound mind and body, have decided to change my handwriting and kill myself. And Bond's like, well, that's not right. And then a guy just lunges at him. That's how you're going to kill the guy that you have a perfect jump on in the middle of the night.
Yeah, he Bourne identities the fuck out.
And then you kill him, and then the next guy comes in.
As I'm throwing more and more sneakers at this guy's head, I'm like, this is not going to look like a suicide if I lose this fight. Like, it's...
So yeah, you have to run out of here or run through a whole thing with the sniper. Don't worry about it. You get Moneypenny on a call, and she's like, I'm on a date, Bond. I'm with a bloke. And
is that what she sounds like?
Why'd it have to be a bloke, etc.? Yeah.
I'm having a point with a bloke. He's got me knickers in a twist.
And she's like, next location. Yeah.
And it is a fun little moment where you get on the call with her, you push open a little gate, and then you are smash cut to a museum.
This is the V&A, but it's not the V&A.
Now we've got to figure out, how we can save Greenway, because we know there are assassins after him, and we can't get to him because of London traffic.
And there's a gala going on because Webb Industries, again, you'll recall Webb. Well, it turns out he's the big bad guy. Webb's the one who has been in control of this entire like supercomputer AI project this entire time.
Yep.
And he's also doing his level best to stop anybody from uncovering the fact that his supercomputer makes mistakes sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This also leads to a battle with the twin Finn.
One of them. Only one.
One of them.
Sam Lake.
You know how like a ton of the Craig Bonds really lent into the imagery of like Britannia and stuff and how that was kind of cool. In this one, you end up impaling the guy on a gigantic Britannia trident.
Yeah, pretty
also,
good.
the gala is all like sort of trad sort of war British stuff with big centurions everywhere, and it's like, damn, what makes you think?
Webb is kind of interesting. There's lore. They like made cannons for the Crimean War, and they've been kind of integrated with, you know, British military spending for the last 150
premier
years.
Defense contractor, essentially. They are the Lockheed Martin of Britain.
So at this gala, after your fight with the Finn twin, you find yourself back in the main lobby of the museum. There's a musician who's been singing "Don't They Know It's the End of the World." This kind of becomes a recurring motif in this game, and maybe in the future games. Who knows? If James Bond does in fact return.
They said he would.
And we meet Damian Webb, who is the liquid snake of this game.
And he's like, James Bond, interesting. Please accept this drink that I've pre-poured for you. To be frank, at this point, like Bond should here be going to the bar and asking for Angela. He should be putting his ponytail on his opposite shoulder because this guy is bad vibes.
Yeah, so you are drugged and you are unconscious, and then you wake up and he decides to torture you. But you're like, if I just let him torture me just enough in a sequence that's not at all annoying, I can hack his phone.
Notably, you're captured with a beautiful woman who you met as Suspicious Maid. And Damien is not at all interested in torturing her, but is very interested in torturing you. Like, we don't make him explicitly a gay sadist, just implicitly. And you can, one of the darker lines in the thing is you can try and provoke him a bit by making a somewhat more abrupt joke than I just did and being like, damn, I'm surprised I didn't wake up in your hotel room.
Again, it's one of these things where throughout it's so frustrating that these characters are defined by one note, which is an issue with Bond more broadly. But I would love to have seen anything about Damien beyond he's a gay psycho. We later learn that he's a gay psycho because his mom died when he was young, but like, come on.
Yeah, literally, he was like traumatized into becoming a gay sadist.
We don't spend that much time with the villains because we decided to hang out with Lenny Kravitz for a while and also the corpse. So now this guy has to show up in the second half of the game as the co-villain with his dad. And it's like, okay, well, that's just what we're doing. This is also my issue with, this is part of why I've never seen a Bond movie all the way through, is because I just feel like they just sort of keep going. They're like, here's another thing that we're doing now.
There's always a final act location switch in Bond movies that can feel pretty exhausting.
But here we are, of course, getting pretty close to the end. We can feel it, right?
Yeah, it sure seems that way.
After more than 3, 4, or 5 big tentpole missions left, I think.
Yeah. The sexy maid lady who's now calling herself Isola, something like that.
Isola Vale, which is the only pun name in the thing, and which I approve of because it's such a dumb pun. I wonder if this woman's identity is somewhat fictive. Is Ola Vale?
You escape this place. You have one really good stealth section in the courtyard where you can cause some mayhem, and then a bunch of shitty little stealth rooms that are mostly just trying to funnel you into combat.
And then another big driving sequence.
So you drive this dump truck through a department store. You find Greenway. He's doing fine. He's shot a few people. He just had sort of a bad night at the pub, more or less. And now you go to what is assuredly the final area of the game. Shinra headquarters.
Yeah, this is VersaLife from Deus Ex. This is literally Nightfall is the name of this mission.
Nightfall. That sounds pretty climactic. I'm ready for a big sort of ending.
Nightfall with a K.
Yeah.
Well, particularly because Nightfall, we've learned at this point, was the mission with 009.
Where he betrayed.
Yeah. And so we move into this big, again, Shinra-esque building.
Yeah,
we meet this guy named Finch, who is their head of legal. He takes them up in an elevator. We learn pretty soon that everybody else hates Finch, which is kind of funny. We get up to the top of the penthouse, which is where Sir Webb hangs out while he's there. And it's like, oh my God, we're going to get his thing. We're going to blow this thing up for once and for all. We go to the Perch, which is where they have all of their server farms and server racks. And it's like, we're going to get the data. We're going to expose Webb for once and for all and his computer bullshit.
Because Webb is doing a big degaussing event. They're just erasing absolutely everything they have in their archives. And we find some key information that shows that Thea, the big quantum computer that does everything and is also an AI, but not really in the 2020s sense, more like in a 2000 sense.
Yeah, they lean on quantum computer for this.
Even though you do have NPCs who talk about how, well, AI is going to be here to stay, and it's like, we get it.
It turns out that there isn't just one computer, there's two computer. Oh my god.
What?
It's a backdoor, right? So like the computer, which interestingly to me is like modeled after a rocket engine, frustratingly to me, accessed down a corridor that is the gun barrel sequence from the Bond opening, and they never have him shoot down it. The MI6 one is called Thea, right? And it sort of like feeds them all of the like operational data, does all the intelligence interpreting and analysis and stuff, right, for them. It turns out that it fucks up super bad all the time because AI isn't very good at its job.
Right.
In order to have a window into that, Webb has its own mirror entangled computer called Hyperion because they think that they can sneak a classics reference past a bunch of people who exclusively went to Oxbridge, which is crazy. Our boy Webb Senior has been having his like psycho gay son's secret commando squad fake the narrative and frame people and kill people and cover it up so that whenever Thea says this guy's about to do 9/11 and MI6 kills him, they have to make that guy look like he was going to do 9/11.
Yeah, even though he didn't actually. And sometimes they're totally generating stuff. But yeah, the whole idea of Hyperion, the twin computer, is quantum entanglement. It's not networked in the same way. There are no other quantum computers that can read it. It's just by having a pair in a separate location, it just inherently has all the same data that Thea has.
Okay. And storytelling wise here, right? The point of Nightfall is that you are going to hang out with Snape. You're going to hang out with Greenway for an extended period of time.
It also seems like at this point, the writing of the game, the writers seem to be trying to do something. It seems like they have something to say about AI, about tech, about automation. But I can't figure out what it is.
It's bad.
I think it's a classic thing where it's like it's a kind of false utopianism, and they're articulating that within the sort of terms of Bond villains, where it's like as hubristic as I'm going to go to space and repopulate the Earth with 10 out of 10 smoke show baddies, right? There's a plinth that you can find in Webb's offices that says like, we are AI optimists or whatever.
Webb believes in an inhuman future. He believes in a future where humans are not calling the shots except for him because he makes the computers. So there is this like Rocco's basilisk rationalist thing. If you read the like Webb memoir that's on his throne, other than that though, like I don't think that this AI, this Thea stuff resembles the environment that we're currently in and like what those so-called AI systems do and what they look like and how they are utilized. But there's definitely something about these game devs who take a lot of pride in making these things by hand and seeing the state of the video game industry and how even just like basic things like investment in companies that make video games is drying up because the investors are going and doing AI, to the fact that there are the software companies themselves investing in AI the same way that they invested in blockchain shit a few years ago. I mean, see what's happening with the Unreal Engine right this very second.
Yeah, this game is Minority Report more than anything else.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because the like Bond as a franchise has always been very conservative, very reactionary, very suspicious of technology on the basis that like Bond, your kind of masculine, reactionary, blunt instrument is like still the guy you need sometimes in extremis.
They're calling him a relic of the Cold War.
Yeah, I think one of the more revealing lines is in Tomorrow Never Dies, where they have the Navy use the deck gun to destroy fucking Rupert Murdoch's super stealth future yacht. And the line is, you know, sometimes it's better to do things the old-fashioned way. In this case, where they've alighted on something where like the futurism is uncomplicatedly a bad thing, and it is better to do things the old-fashioned way. Strange now to find myself on the same side as James Bond.
Well, and also there is this like individualism that's baked into it too. Later on, when you're trying to rescue Moneypenny at like the end of the game, you're told by M, Bond, she's an asset, not your friend. And Bond basically says, fuck off.
Bond is sort of like, he's a risk taker. He like defies logic. He like beats the odds. He gambles. And all of these things are sort of like part of his like human superiority.
Right, because with Thea / Hyperion, the best that you're going to do is a tremendous amount of information that gets averaged out, but you are going to end up with these, what the game says are ghost patterns, where it identifies a pattern that does not exist. Right. And the game seems to be positing that this is more likely in the field of big data and big data analytics than it is for a person who might be able to do better inductive reasoning if they are somebody who is on the ground having one-on-one experiences with other people.
Yeah,
because,
right.
hey, if you thought the game was over, you're fucking wrong, bud. We still have 3 chapters left, and the next chapter is taking us to Vietnam.
The reasons don't really matter. It's just we're going to try to catch the mercenaries that are run by Webb's son, Liquid Snake. They're going to be trying to do their corrective maneuvers again. And so we think that they're going to go after these 3 people who are all at a resort in Vietnam, 2 of whom have this connection to like a bioengineering conference. You have to slip all of them a tracking device.
Right.
This section, in some ways, like in terms of what you're doing, sneaking into a place and getting to an inner circle and getting someone with something, feels like Hitman in a way, but the act of actually playing it feels more like a point and click adventure game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're walking around talking to people, having conversations, finding out where someone has gone, figuring out, you know, why they're here, what their history is, doing all this, finding the right item and item combinations to make sure that one guy can get a bar open so that you can give him his drink and then he'll drink your tracking device.
The level itself is a luxury resort here in Vietnam. It feels kind of like a remix of Haven. From Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
These 3 people who need to get tracked down are Ellis, who's a pervert, Ramon, who seems to be like a gangster of some sort, and then Teresa Lorca, a Portuguese algae scientist who is hot.
She's very hot.
Naturally, that means that James Bond is going to get a piece of that, as is the nature of James Bond movies, you know?
Speaking to your point, Nova, it's not smarmy in the way that so many of these Bond relationships can feel smarmy. Like, they do genuinely seem to have chemistry, and they go out of their way to make him not just be like so irresistibly charming that she jumps into bed with him. Like, they have banter and it's fun.
Yeah. But they also, they make a point of still having Bond. Like, he has a number of sexual partners in this game, not to slut shame him or anything, but like, they're not saying that this is like a sexless way of presenting Bond if we're not going to make him a misogynist as well. He fucks the receptionist at MI6.
Yeah, that's part of the opening training montage.
Yeah, that is. He fails to fuck the red dress lady at the nightclub. He bangs Isola, or Isolde, whatever. He bangs her later, and here he bangs Lorca. We're walking around this whole resort, and we have these glasses that feed everything back to M, and I feel like this is such a classic, like, Bond fucking a lady moment. Again, I've seen pieces of a lot of Bond movies, and I can think of, like, the end of Moonraker, where they're having, like, 0G sex in, like, a...
Oh, sure.
So here he has the camera glasses, and she's like, no, I can still see, I can still hear.
This takes us immediately then to a sequence at night, because it wouldn't you know it, Damien's goons have in fact showed up. They have in fact kidnapped Teresa.
Yep.
And now it's up to you
Well, and don't forget,
to save her.
They've also kidnapped Ellis.
Oh, right, Ellis, the other guy, yeah.
The pervert, oh no!
Yeah.
But you also have a suppressor this time. QLab has finally developed the new technology of a suppressor.
Yeah, you get your PPK at long last.
Yeah.
The thing is, the suppressor doesn't do what you think it's gonna do. As long as there is somebody who is in line of sight of another guy, shooting someone in the head with a silenced weapon is still going to cause everybody to descend upon your location immediately, which is not how this shit should work.
Well, they saw the head blow up, and so they can perfectly match that to the trajectory of a bullet and find you instantly, Josh.
But here you have a lot of like tall grass you sneak through. I didn't really have that difficulty in this area, maybe because I just wasn't using the gun that much and I was still just giving everyone the throw up darts.
Sure, which you should do.
Yeah,
throw up darts are great.
Throw up darts are weird because you have resources that you burn through. You have chemical resources and electrical resources. You have to pick up batteries and soap to recharge your watch.
I just imagine Bond like trying to shove it into the Omega watch.
The dart can also be shot at like a wall, and then that'll make someone go, huh, what was that? But but if you shoot it into a person, it uses up more soap.
Oh.
For some reason, shooting the dart itself doesn't use the same amount of chemicals every time, but if it hits somebody, then you're down a lot more soap.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Come on.
Well, again, he's shoving soap into a watch.
But eventually you do save Lorca. Yay.
Yeah.
Lorca
Did we talk about the bow tying sequence? I don't want to skip
we do need to
over
talk
that.
about the bow tying sequence.
It's so fun.
So the night actually begins, before the alarm is raised and you have to go rescue everyone. You have to tie a bow tie. And this leads to the hardest QuickTime sequence in the game.
Yeah.
Where you have to hit a very complex series of directional prompts and button prompts in order to get a bow tie properly tied around your neck.
Yes, but since I've played a David Cage game, I was ready for this. I don't mean to brag, but I almost platinumed Heavy Rain.
James Bond lifting an inhaler up to his mouth, failing, dropping it, lifting it back up again.
Failing, dropping it again. So I actually didn't get a fail state for this. Can you fail tying the bow tie and do people chastise you for it?
I don't know.
The reason why James Bond does not know how to tie a bow tie despite having been to boarding school is that he went to a girls' boarding school because he is transgender. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
So here was my theory
Mystery
on this,
solved.
because he says, oh yeah, I don't know how to tie a bow tie, and Moneypenny's like, but you went to boarding school, how do you not know? And he says, oh, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I thought he and another boy at the school were in a deep, loving, but also transactional relationship, and that boy would tie his bow tie every time.
You still learn to tie your own bow ties in that situation.
That weirdly cryptic line that James Bond has about not knowing how to tie his bow tie, we'll just have to find out in the next 007 game what that's all about.
It's because he's transgender. It's because he's transgender. This is also going to be foundational to the erotic fan fiction, I think.
There's a point where they're going to call him in for a mission. He's like, no, I have a wrestling event that I have to go to.
If you think James Bond wouldn't clean up at T-Boy Wrestling, he's going to hold R2 on a guy and like throw him horizontally through an entire park. And I'm going to be there getting photos.
So you go through this house and you have to rescue Ellis first. We all love Ellis. And Ellis is so drunk, he just starts to beat the shit out of you, so you have to knock him out again.
And you knock him out in one,
That's
which is
fun.
very funny.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Then rescue Lorca and kill the other Finnish twin. Lorca is now just gone. You see her jump out of a window and he's like, run to safety. That's it.
Bye, Lorca.
Game wrap on Lorca.
I ended up chaining the animations in a very funny way because I killed the second Finnish twin by like throwing him against the same window that immediately cuts to a cutscene of Lorca getting thrown out of. So I thought for a second that this is the window that transes your gender instantly.
Yep.
So also,
and it puts you in a very fetching dress while it's at it.
So you will run into Lorca, I presume, once 5 years pass.
Oh boy,
that's the name of a Lorca play.
Oh boy!
Wow!
Oh no!
That was good. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, that was good.
I know, but it wounded
golf clap.
me.
Golf clap. I'm one of the other 00 agents right now, and I'm clapping for you.
I'm raising my hands.
At this point, we have to go to a quarry because Bond, on completing the mission, gets knocked the fuck out once more.
One of those classic Vietnamese marble quarries.
Yep.
Where you wake up and Liquid Snake is like, have you seen a film called Goldfinger? Because you're about to LARP it.
Straight up the same thing. He's got the chainsaw that's going to slice you in half, cut your dick.
It's the dick chainsaw instead of the dick laser. He does, in fact, expect you to die.
Yeah. You are about to macrodose gender reassignment surgery, and Bond is like, what, again?
And at this point, you have to fight Damien once you manage to get free.
Yeah.
Because Greenway helps you get out of there.
Because he's got his fucking like Alexander the Great mask on and his Alpha and Omega patch on his tactical vest. He's like, Mr. Bond, this is about the themes of the thing. I can be better than you if I inject experimental peptides I got from InfoWars. He does, but like, again, it's sort of like much like the sort of Thea thing requires you to accept that a quantum computer or AI or whatever can do the things even poorly. In this case, the peptides really do work, and he gets like crazy strong, and you have to do what is, I think, the second or third boss fight where it's like you have to lure a guy into an environmental thing and then activate it on him.
It's really not fun. It's so clunky.
He has like 3 distinct health bars and like 2 voice lines, so you're going to hear the same ones over and over and over again, especially if you die.
Because you keep dying.
This is also how all of the encounters with him work.
Yeah.
Every single encounter with Damien.
What do you mean? We kill him here, Josh.
end.
What are you talking about?
I've got some bad news for you about the last part of the game.
We throw him off the marble thing and like break his legs and fuck him up super bad.
And then throw a bunch of pipes on him.
We did just inject a second vial of InfoWars peptides straight into his eye. I think that saved him. I think that's what did the trick.
But you know who couldn't be saved? Poor Papa Greenway.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, Greenway dies.
You have been shot 300 times at this point in the game. And Greenway took a little hit to the side, and he is gone. It's over.
Notably, he gets shot while doing the perfect James Bond, like, aperture rifle barrel thing.
Yeah, he's got the stance.
He does the pose and then gets shot, which is like, okay, cool, right.
Part of me thinks Greenway didn't die. He just didn't want to hang out with Bond anymore.
Well, notably, Bond's been getting more smug as he gets more into himself, and because during Vietnam they tried to have it both ways, where it's like, you have Bond doing the shitty line, and then you have Moneypenny in his ear doing a Kill James Bond episode where it's like, I can't believe you just said that. I hope you get strangled. I hope you die of adult onset like shaken baby syndrome or whatever. Like it's sort of like now the last guardrail between him and the line he's always thinking of is gone, right? Because Greenway is like, James, don't let being Harry Potter ever change who you am as a person, and as dawn comes with rosy fingers.
Oh, the first light.
The first light. The first light. The first light.
Yeah. He's like, stay being James Bond.
Yeah. So of course James Bond doesn't change by the end of this game. Maybe if IO is brave, they will make him into a fucking nightmare monster guy by the end of the third game. You know, like maybe this line will become the most important line and he will in fact change for the worse.
But can I say, can the second game be a Roger Moore one?
No.
Can it just be utterly cartoonish for the second game and second game?
We're gonna get there. We are going to get
and,
there. Like, because after this, we are getting very heavily towards the Brosnan kind of like kite surfing the fucking Arctic wall. So
well, let's get to that, shall we? Because we get back to HQ, and at this point, Webb has declared war on MI6. He is leaking state secrets in order to keep MI6 under his thumb.
Since he has all the Thea data in Hyperion, he can just dump stuff, and he's like, I'm just going to keep being Julian Assange to you until my nebulous demands are met.
And Bond, meanwhile, is going to go and track Webb down and defeat him personally.
Yeah, this is not a mission. He's not allowed to do it, but Q sort of leaves the lab and is like, just take whatever you need.
He gets the extremely slow lift. That is hitting the Mass Effect one for me, especially since they make you take it every time you're at MI6 because it goes between like Office MI6, Computers MI6,
They
and
just
Backrooms
knew
MI6.
the fans would be so thrilled to be on an elevator, and they're like, here, we'll make you smoke the whole pack.
Yeah, is that my beloved friend Lift again? But you get down there and Gay Q. We haven't really talked about Gay Q.
Yeah, let's talk about Gay Q. I love Gay Q.
The thing about Gay Q is you can hit him with, I guess now we know what Q stands for, or his full name LGBTQ. He's like another sort of father figure to Bond. He's like an older kind of dapper. It's the one kind of inventive character change, and then they don't do much with it.
I mean, I like the performance a lot, and yeah, it's Alistair McKenzie.
He said he was going to play him like cool uncle.
Q rolling into work with a t-shirt that says the answer is yes and don't tell your mother.
I think it's interesting because it's a nice counterpoint to the torturous gay that is Damien, right? That they have taken.
That is true. I have to take back the thing I
perspective.
said about the only gay character being the sadist. There's also Wine Uncle.
Yeah, and you know, Monroe's bisexual,
as we will see in a certain archive of our own post.
Q also lets you know that, you know, he's known Greenway a long time, and then Greenway had been Betray, but maybe no Betray, 009 no Betray. because computer lie.
Yeah, he was taken advantage of, and his blunt instrument nature was used. He killed his own friends.
He tells Bond, "Hey, you were the first light that Greenway saw in a decade." We also see the covered Aston Martin Valhalla. Ooh, we're gonna drive that soon.
This is the thing. You could do something. You could do something interesting with this, where it's like, okay, so this guy who I knew for many years was like profoundly damaged to the point of the Act 1 hostility to everything by this job that eventually took everything from him. And you were the only sort of breath of fresh air in his life because you do things a little differently and because you are James Bonds. You should not strive to be more like him. You should run a mile away from this Aston Martin. But because this game really has a case of Chekhov's car, you're gonna drive the Aston Martin.
Well,
you've got
in general, I think the writing of this game, just to talk about that, because I feel like we've been dancing around it a little bit. The people writing this game are a lot of people who previously wrote for the Hitman games. Hitman is an episodic game. They don't have to think about pacing in the same way that you have to think about pacing and through lines in a front-to-back narrative game. Because
once you beat a level, you're booted out and you're in a menu again, and you're you're not thinking about it in that way. Whereas this is always propelling you forward.
I think that's part of why you get these strange things where it's like, we already hit that beat. We already did that thing. Or the writing doesn't seem to support the emotional weight that they are assigning this moment in time right now.
Yeah, so it just sort of comes across as not that much. Like most of the big emotional beats were stuff I had already forgotten after my first playthrough, and then I remember because I wrote them down this time.
And it's not that it's bad exactly.
It's all fine.
No, I think it's a very competent Bond story.
Yeah.
It has all of the hallmarks that you would expect from a Bond film, but I feel about it the same way that I feel about most Bond movies that I watch, which is that sure was.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sitting here thinking about the death of Monroe.
It's like one of those restaurant burgers that's too tall, in that there's nothing individually bad in it, but there's too much of it.
Remember Panchaea from Deus Ex Human Revolution?
No.
So does IOI.
Yeah. When I was playing this, my girlfriend unprompted fully hit the codec call that you get going into Panchaea.
Except it's in Antarctica rather than the Arctic, because as we'll recall, Panchaea was at the top of the world.
You get there on Isola's evil Spectre yacht, and she plays you like a violin.
She serves you your first shaken martini, and Bond's like, "Well, why do you like it like that?" She's like, "I don't know, I just fucking like it like that."
She obviously mocking you in a way that you can't tell is my dead parents who were killed by Nicholas Webb, who I'm super sad about, and you and me aren't so different, James Bonds.
And then you fuck on the boat. You fuck on the boat with a Japanese submarine looking on like it's the beginning of the movie 1941.
Yep.
Well, this is the other thing that we didn't mention about Isola yet, is that she is French-Japanese.
Yeah, and I think this is obviously a game that is all set up and no payoff for her necessarily. By the end of the game, we still don't know exactly who she is. It's all still behind the veil.
We have this big web base that's in Antarctica. That's where we're going to end our story. This final chapter, we're going down to Antarctica. We pretend to be one of the scientists who's hiding in the bathroom. We get to see some robots. We get to roll the big Elden Ring ball around.
Yeah, hey, you like new mechanics? How about some brand new mechanics?
What if they had big stompy robots that you can't kill with guns? And so, like they previewed in an earlier segment where Greenway is sniping for you, what if the way to kill people was to hold L1 and then press R1 on them so that something else kills them?
So one thing I want to note is here is when you're in the robotics lab and you can test all the little robot things, there's one robot that mirrors you. And if you sit down and play a piano, you'll play the song Don't They Know It's the End of the World from before.
Right.
And the robot will play the piano with you. This is a reference to the game Echo, another Danish game from the 2010s, a stealth game that was made by an independent studio called Ultra Ultra. It's the only game they made. Obviously, no one on this call has ever heard of this before. I didn't hear about it until last week. But the co-director and one of the lead writers of this game were the director and writer of Echo. Ultra Ultra went under. They joined IO Interactive. This game made a bigger splash in Denmark, but not so much outside of Denmark. It's really kind of cool. It looks like it's way too hard for me because I'm not very good at games. But I was showing some of it to Josh, and you were like, "Yeah, that does look really interesting. Nova, you might like this game.
It does look like a very November Kelly coded game, to be fair.
It's this science fiction thing where the AIs like learn from your own attributes, and so
it's like a loop game.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is you can play the piano, and then the enemies will start playing piano instead of running after you to break your neck. So that is an explicit reference to that. I think also the resource pool that allows you to like lure people and bluff them comes from the resource pool as it works. Also a little bit in Absolution, but also as it works in Echo, where everything is kind of just one resource.
We discover some more information about him. He's written a memoir, which matters for plot reasons.
It's just because that's where his whole manifesto about how great men can be replaced with computers.
He dies. He's killed. In fact, Isola shoots him, which is a stunning betrayal because he had a dead man switch.
Yeah, and he's like, if you kill me, the computer will release everything. But then she takes the computer briefcase out of the computer. And I guess the briefcase is the quantum hard drive or some shit. I don't know. It's the briefcase.
Who knows?
You need to get rid of the briefcase.
This is where I hit the like recycled Hitman asset loop in my brain, and I'm like, oh yeah, the data core from New York. Yeah.
But hey, we've defeated the villain, and you know his son earlier died, so the game's over, right?
And we shot the briefcase.
Oh yeah, he shoots the briefcase and waits for pickup because that's Dayton, comrade. You don't have it. I don't have it.
Now there's no Hyperion. We destroyed that. There's just Thea. Everything's gonna be fine. Maybe we'll deprecate, use of Thea in the future.
I can't stress enough how much destroying Hyperion is Uncharted gameplay. Like it's literally just it gives you a new traversal tool with a sort of magic attachment to the gun that you have to use sometimes, and then you just
awful puzzles where you're just supposed to kind of look around until you finally find the thing.
I kept on being like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, very annoying.
Well, surprise, you're in prison.
You're in the basement of UNATCO.
Yeah, they put you in the fucking MI6 back rooms, the completely like inside of the fridge right after you move in, white, kind of a bit scuffed, like back of MI6.
James is being detained alongside Isola, who, they don't know anything about her.
She has no records. She's on the computer.
She's Inspector. It's so clear she's Inspector. Anyway.
Spectre or somebody you don't know who attacks MI6. The MI6 backrooms, again, conceptually interesting to me. We don't linger here, right? No. It's not anywhere. And you fight your way up into Computers MI6, where M is on the phone with you, and she's like, damn it, Bond, you get results. I'm going to reactivate all of your shit so you can kill these people. I do like it, whether it's like Deus Ex or XCOM or this, where it's like, oh, now I have to fight in the
it is fun to go backwards through the place you've always gone forwards through.
I mean, the part where you get to Q Lab and you get a special upgraded Q Watch that allows you to activate literally everything in Q Lab.
You're just a terrorist,
That's pretty fun, I thought.
Yeah, get killed by every Bond nostalgia reference ever, get hit by the ejector seats,
and Q goes into the couch from Living Daylights, and Henry's dead. Everyone, let's all mourn Henry of Whitlock and Henry. He's gone.
Henry, it turns out all this is Damian Webb's fucking mercenaries. They come and they killed Henry. They killed Henry, who I talked to, and none of you did, you cold bastards.
Joe Biden's best friend, Henry, has been killed.
Not only do peptides work, but we've got mechanical augmentation from Deus Ex because they put Damien in a big hulking exoskeleton, and he's still got the Alexander the Great mask on. And I'm like, that's kind of an interesting thing. You did the thing that No Time to Die was weirdly cagey about, and you made him get stuck in the mask because we fucked him up so bad he like can't take it off, right?
Nope.
No.
He takes it off.
There's a bit in his interminable fucking boss fight. I think I died again and again and again on, because even on the standard difficulty, you've got to like time his like attacks so that you
so irritating.
It's so stupid. But there's a bit where you finally get his third health bar all the way down. It's so staged and timed. It's so fucking annoying. But there's a bit where you get him there, and his like death animation, he kind of like claws at his own mask in a way that sort of suggests that he can't take it off, and that he's sort of trapped in this sort of like exoskeleton. And I'm like, that's legitimately some body horror, and suggests maybe some actual horror to this kind of transhumanism thing that could be interesting.
No, he takes it off.
He just takes it off.
He's got some scars on his face and his hair got cut. So he sacrificed beauty for power, just like the Wicked Queen and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
He's missing an eye because earlier when you fought him, James punched him in the eye with his own hypodermic needle.
Yeah. You fucking like deactivate his legs or some shit, right? I guarantee you when they bring Cressida back, they're not going to put her in a whole ass exoskeleton like this. It's going to be like even dumber than this.
I mean, they said she'll walk again. She might just be ambulatory without any assistance the next time you see her.
But he gets you in like a bear hug, like back to back.
He threatens to blow himself up and everything else, and Bond's like, "You won't kill yourself just to kill me," and he's like, "Yeah, you're right." But Bond will kill himself to kill Damien. And so they drown together.
Something about Bond has always been about the sort of like British boomer death drive.
Yes.
So he has to be kind of self-sacrificing about this.
There's not a ton of fun that we're having along the way, but at least we get to drive the Aston Martin Valhalla, right? We get to drive
Not really.
We get to drive.
God, that sucks.
It's a very tiny room. You cannot leave this room.
You get to spin it around in a circle and shoot the guns like in No Time to Die. But when No Time to Die did that, it was outdoors at least.
Yeah, there's no running and gunning.
This without even mentioning the fucking fully Brosnanian like
the
gunboat situation at the end of the Antarctic.
And you like the Antarctic, the glaciers like fall and make waves, and you're shooting. You can, in both cases, with the gun and the boat. Or with the gun and the boat, with the car and the boat. You can't aim your gun really, or your missiles. So you're just sort of, and you're waiting for the missiles to like recharge or reload on their own. And you're like, okay, I'm just pressing square. And it goes on for such a long time.
Yeah, there's so many more. Because you have to kill every
understand.
single person, and sometimes you have a goon that's right behind a pillar that you can't hit unless you're at a very particular angle. So I was just driving in circles and be like, why am I still here?
It's really spiking the kind of silliness. Like we're fully in this sort of Die Another Day invisible car thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know people said when sort of Craig got more and more like emotions that they like wanted the more stuff back. I never said that. I'm on record as never having said that because I thought it sucked. It did suck then, it sucks now.
Why didn't they listen to you? You're like the leading public scholar on James Bond studies. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
So much of this game just overstays its welcome.
Yeah, that last boss fight.
I am happy for the people at IOI that people have loved this game as much as they have, but I also don't understand why everyone loves it as much as they have loved it.
Here's a question that I have for those of you who have played Uncharted, which is not me.
Yeah,
Are the Uncharted games also paced like this, where it's just 1 or 2 or 3 beats per minute?
Even worse is like, you know when the robots showed up in this?
Yeah.
In Uncharted, the robots show up and then they're there for the last 3 chapters.
Oh my
and so
God.
you're just dealing with the groups of guys to shoot, and then you're dealing with the homunculus or like the Yeti or whatever.
I think Uncharted is a little bit more successful because I think its characters are a little bit more dynamic and it's not as afraid to be goofy. And I find myself more compelled to finish an Uncharted game than by the end of this one. I was just like, can we please just wrap this up? Can we please just let Bond go off into that good night? And he almost does, but then Isola saves him.
Yeah, there's another interesting bit of kind of body horror where he's like locked in the sort of bear hug by a dying or dead Damien who's like electric fucking limbs are just like locked dead around him. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
It's the very beginning too. It's like a parallel to you almost drowning at the very opening
again. Yeah,
that should mean something, but it kind of doesn't.
Because Isola saves him. She dives in and saves him against her better nature.
And then she runs off with the Thea briefcase, the MacGuffin, the whatever it is.
Computer core thing. Yeah. And that's it. That's it. It's done.
Yep.
Well, we get the grave sequence at the end.
It's not done. Fuck.
Yeah. So there's one final
it's
scene.
Still not done.
Where Bond is at Greenway's grave and has this moment of saluting him and whatever. And
we tie up all the loose ends. Like M is like, and here are all the things you had questions about. They're fixed. And Bond smirks to the camera.
And like, again, you have this moment, right? Again, where it's like, here is the grave of your kind of nth father figure. We textually tell you we had to do all of this in secret. The big sort of like military funeral with honors and stuff was for Webb, the guy who got killed on your watch, who you were trying to arrest. This is the one place that this job leads you, and there is never any glory in it ever. And they don't really confront that. And so Bond's devil may care thing just comes off as like, cool, I graduated spy high
Well,
school. Now I get to
they
like do the
want
smirk.
you to think that he's the coolest fucking guy in a way that I find cloying, even by the standards of something James Bond.
Because I think the thing that makes him interesting is that, people keep calling him on his shit. Like, he's a young asshole. He's not so entirely self-assured. He's not like just, I'm the coolest guy and everyone going, we agree. There's something a little bit more flawed to him, which makes him more appealing than the other Bonds have been, to me at least.
Right.
And this last second of him smirking straight to the camera, it's like the perfect Blue ending. It's just like, okay, here we are. We're all happy. And then we do the iris and the blood and the James Bond will return.
There's this distance, I think, between what the characters think of him in the context of the narrative and how the writers want you to think of him in the context of the world and just the idea of Bond more broadly. Yeah. And I suppose this is a bigger question that I have. The game at the end, of course, says James Bond will return, the famous card that's at the end of every James Bond movie.
It's sort of like a British curse tablet, you know?
And we've talked a bit about the situation with Amazon where it's unclear if that will actually happen or if so, what it will look like. But I guess given where the franchise is right now, it's at this weird inflection point where Jeff Bezos clearly has intentions on doing something with it that has not been done before. Eon Productions is no longer a meaningful influence on the franchise. Where could this franchise go in a video game context? And what do we think that's going to look like if it does?
I would hope, just for the sake of me liking the developers, even though I didn't enjoy this game, and because I think a lot of this game's flaws are born out of the insecurity of trying to do lowest common denominator stuff. And I worry in the same way that, like, I like and admire Daniel Craig as an actor, and I feel bad that he had to endure being James Bond for fucking 15 years or whatever. In the same way, I worry about IO getting caught in the prison of James Bond, but I would like them to be able to do their original vision in a way that they were confident enough that they could do the experimental stuff that made Hitman so good and do a whole trilogy, right? That would be nice. Learn the lessons from this one, because going back, you think about some of the shit that they tried to do in Hitman 1, it kind of sucked. And by Hitman 3, you're not even really aware of it because you remember the stuff they got right and then they retconned backwards. I would like them as much as I hate James Bond, and I want them to get back to the Hitman mines for my amusement. I want them to be able to make Second Light and like fucking Midnight or Last Light or whatever the fuck they want to call it. I want to be able to see all of the plot beats coming just like this one, and I want to groan and roll my eyes and complain and then fucking pre-order them with the extra special edition.
Keep drinking that garbage.
The amount of elevators that will be in the sequel will blow your mind.
I just need more fluted windows, personally.
I mean, if maybe this is on the Mass Effect trajectory, where it's like the first one has some interesting ideas, but it's like and too many elevators.
And then the sequel is perfect.
Second one nails it. Third one goes off the rails again. So I look forward to the second one being great, and then the third one being a mess.
I think if IO Interactive has its way, is able to make the games that they want to make, I think they have a roadmap. Like, I think the characters who have just disappeared from the plot, it's because they're going to return in the following games. Personally, for me, I'll be watching to see what they do with the updated always online content, the VR missions as they go forward. They're going to add one with the Aston Martin Valhalla.
Gonna meet Bama's sister.
I don't think I'm going to buy the next game. And I don't know if I'll buy the third game. I think I'm going to wait. Maybe things will change. But like in about 7 years when the third game comes out, because they do make these things on a shorter schedule and they reuse assets and stuff because they're a very smart company. If the third game comes out and people I trust are like, no, this rocks, actually, I will go back and play the trilogy. As it stands now, I'm personally just not interested.
What's currently in my manifesto that I'm lobbing copies at the cops that I'm shooting at, you know, with the dead man switch in the other hand.
That's right.
Is
throwing cups of coffee at them and yelling tea time.
Yeah. What it says is, I don't want this. I want another Alpha Protocol game. I want another No One Lives Forever game. I want Rockstar to finish making Agent. I want a sequel to oh fuck God, what's it called?
Siphon Filter.
I keep getting it mixed up with Alpha Protocol. No, there was a spy-based XCOM that I played a million hours
Phantom
of.
Doctrine?
Phantom Doctrine. I want the sequel
loved
to
Phantom Doctrine, even though it
come
wasn't actually good. I loved it.
Finally get a sequel to 13 after all these years.
Oh, 13!
So, get 14 in there.
I and the whole of Britain am haunted by James Bond, right? That's why James Bond Will Return should be correctly understood as a threat.
One might say a specter is haunting the United Kingdom.
Yeah, one might say that.
One enormous octopus.
So, I enjoy a spy game. I think that James Bond is one of the worst and most boring versions of one. Legitimately, if IO told me, hey, we lost the rights to Amazon, they're going to make a fuck-ass James Bond cash-in, we're going to take 90% of the assets and none of the intellectual property and make a Bames Nond game, that would allow you to go in so many more interesting directions than being stuck with this fucking character.
Because I think too that so much of when we talk about Hitman, and we have talked about Hitman, so much of what makes that game fun is not the character of Agent 47. He's mostly a non-entity. No. What makes it fun is the way that the worlds that they build, the maps that they build, lend themselves to all manner of gameplay that allows for actual emergent opportunities that are fun. Mm-hmm. And when this game, First Light, is at its best, you also have the opportunities to do that. But those opportunities are so few and far between that it ends up feeling super fucking frustrating.
Yeah. Even if you channel them a bit, I think a lot about Alpha Protocol is the sort of like high watermark of this, of like, the character themselves is kind of a cipher, but I get to express different aspects of that character. Yes, partially by picking different dialogue options, but also by playing the game differently. And the game is going to react to me exploiting its systems in different ways by having people recognize that about me. When a character says, oh, I notice you are this type of spy, I rub my hands greasinously like I'm at T-Boy wrestling because it's noticing what I'm doing. And it's tricking me into thinking that what I'm doing as I waste my time playing this video game on my day off is making a difference.
Well, here's what I'm going to say again, Nova, is you should probably check out Echo.
Okay, sure.
Nova, you said that James Bond Will Return should be perceived as a threat, and I agree. But you have returned to our podcast, and it was nothing but a complete pleasure.
Really was. I'm so happy to have you on again and to talk about this
literally
shit again.
Anytime. Call me in 2.5 years.
Sure, got it.
When you have 8 podcasts.
Anytime in 2.5 years. Yes.
I'll set it on my calendar. By then you'll have 10 podcasts. But
it's either then or in like a week's time, right? So like it's got to be one or the other, but I'm happy to do either.
Once 5 years pass, that's a callback to the
Lorca play. Oh, I'm so glad you justified it so you don't have to cut
it. So good.
Nova, I imagine that many, if not most, of the people listening right now are familiar with your shows and how to access them. But for those who are not, tell me about your podcasts.
Oh, God. Okay. So if you want a whole list of them, go to November Kelly, but there's a period before the last LY. Required me to get a Libyan domain for that, which was fun. I do now 5 podcasts. God, I hope that number's right. Trashfuture, which is about tech and finance and a little bit of politics, and it's about why everything feels so terrible all the time. I do Kill James Bond, most relevantly to this, which is a film review podcast. We started out with the James Bond movies, what they say about masculinity, why 3 trans people are all haunted by it. And now we're on to like Heist season, which is a good time. I do Well, There's Your Problem, which is a podcast with slides about engineering disasters. I do Be Gay, Solve Crimes, which is my most recent one, which is about why 3 trans women all kind of felt like we wanted to be detectives before we knew we were trans.
I actually just went on that one a couple weeks ago. We talked about Columbo.
And just one more thing. I also do a podcast about mayors. It's a weird premise, but just trust me on it. We are living in a more mayoral future than we could possibly have imagined in a time of Zoran and Andy Burnham. It's called No Gods, No Mayors. You can find all of those on my Twitter account and my Blue Sky account, both of which are post-Octoberist, because like November and post-October and also the October Revolution. So check all of that out. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for coming. I will also just say briefly, if you're here for the first time, we don't have any James Bond in the back catalog, but we do have a lot of other really great stuff. If you take a look through our back catalog, you'll see obviously our episodes that we have done with November, as well as actually a lot of episodes with other people who you might be familiar with as well.
We have done episodes about spies and spy-related things in a sub-series that we call Wit's Endless Summer, which is about the evangelical children's radio show Adventures in Odyssey, which, if you know that show, you know that it's mostly about spies. Weirdly enough.
We had Devin on for one of those. We also had Abby Thorne on to talk about a movie called Persecuted. That one was a good one. We also have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/worstofall. $5 a month gets you access to our entire back catalog. We've got I think 120 or 130 premium episodes at this point, so you're bound to find something in there that you like.
So my big question after having played First Light, and it's a question that reverberated throughout my mind while watching the 9 Bond films that I watched to prepare for today, was what does Bond mean now? What England are they defending at this point? What are the conservative values that Bond is upholding?
James Bond is the traditions of past generations weighing like a nightmare on the mind of the living. He is the national security blanket. I hate him.
In that spirit, Nova, we should change the final title card of this game to read, James Bond will return until morale improves. I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
And I'm the worst of all possible Joshes. See you next week.